الان کلیک کنید دسترسی پیدا.
Like here, this is a peak, and our trend is descending when we look at it by eyes. Shadow with a shadow. Like this.
دقیق بزنید. دقیق رسم درست فیکس.
Do it accurately. Fix it.
اشتباه باعث میشه در آینده تا
This little mistake makes the distance longer in the future.
مرکز درسته.
So the center is correct. Your second shadow, you made it from the inside. No, the upper one.
کلش کدومه؟
What is its peak?
این درسته. این مرکز
This is correct. Your center is correct. The second peak. This one?
آره دیگه باید به اینجا بزنید.
Yes, you should do it here. In a trend of 1 hour time period, it's enough, right?
ببینید اینجا
Like here, when you have two peaks that are in this way, you should get the one in the front. So it should be drawn in this way. You chose the center right, but it should be drawn this way. Because if you connect it to here, it would break. So for it not to happen, this is the original form. So this is for the trend of 1 hour period. For the monthly period, should we consider it more behind? Or is it enough like this? It depends. If you want to do it by the very top, you draw the general trend line. But if you get the peaks in the middle of the wave, you're drawing the middle trend line. And when you get the last two peaks, you're drawing the detailed trend line. So draw me the general trend line. It's right. With lines, draw it. Excellent. So the detailed trend line, the last two peaks. Here. So this is your detailed trend in a long period of time. So now, because we're drawing the detailed trend line. Isn't the detailed trend line the one that we do it in the 1 hour period? No. It's not like this. It's not like it's just because in 1 hour, it would just be the detailed trend line of 1 hour period. So you see, if you get the last two peaks in the monthly period, it would be your detailed trend line in a monthly period. So for every period of time, we can do a detailed trend line, right? Exactly. So if you're in a 1 hour period time, just try not to be in the 1 hour period time, just be in the 4 hours. In the 4 hour period, when I consider the lowest peak, this is my general trend line. That got rejected and got back to the back again. This is my medium term trend, and the last two peaks
جزء
This
من
is my detailed trend.
که
چی
دو
اومده؟
برمیگرده. این میشه روند جزء من در
So
تایم
this is my
4
detailed
ساعت.
trend in the 4-hour
حالا
period.
در تایم 1 ساعته
So in the 1-hour period,
میشه چی؟ دوباره
it's
این روند کل من،
my general trend line.
این روند میانه من،
This is my middle trend line,
این روند جزء من.
and it's my detailed trend line.
از اینجا هم میتونیم بگیریم. فرق نمیکنه.
استاد چرا روند رو مثلا از پایین نمیگیریم مثل اون؟
جان؟
Why didn't we get it from the bottom?
جزء رو شما بالا کشیدین، چرا پایین نمیکشین؟
پایین نمیکشم یعنی چی؟ متوجه نشدم.
منظورشون اینه چرا از اینجا نمیکشیم ولی اینجا که این بالاتر از اینه، این پایینتر از این نمیشه، باید از بالا بکشم. گفتم منظورشون اینه چون چرا از
خانم عبداللهی
Please click with your mouse
با ماوس نشون بده، یک کلیک کنیم با ماوس
and show it to me because I didn't understand what he means.
منظورشون اینه چرا که روند جزء
He wants to know why don't you draw this trend line from here?
اون که انجام شده.
That's been done. The detailed trend line means you want the last of your market.
آخر مارکت.
The detailed trend line means the last of the market. So you mean that in a chart, when you look at it, there's 3 parts. When we go back more, it's the general trend line, and kind of in the middle of the wave, it's the middle trend line, and the last of the chart is our detailed trend line. According to that, we draw the trend lines. Yes, we can say it like this.
متوجه شدید دوست عزیز اسمشون چی بود؟ سوال پرسیدن اینجا من
اکبرم
آقای
داره هستم.
آقای زاره ببینید پس
So, from the time that we draw the detailed one, we want to find the end of the market. So when we do the detailed ones, we want to see the last of the market is what. When we do the middle, it's about the time and the hours in the future. When we do the general, we talk about the next week.
دوستان صدای اضافه رو خواهشاً ببندیم. متوجه شدین کامل؟ حالا من چرا
So why did I draw the general line from the floor? Because my lowest peak was on the floor. So the last wave that I could get was starting from the floor. It's true that it started from the floor, but it's in the middle of my wave. You have to divide your wave to 3 parts. From here, this is this. You can do the general, you can do the middle one, and you can do the detailed one as well. But whenever you saw a peak, you know that there's a trend line. Draw it to see if it's correct or not. But if you just see it, you won't understand it. So draw it to see if it breaks or not. So my general trend line of the past was this. But it broke for me and got back and got a pullback. So when it broke, I updated it. So when I updated it, I put it here. But my trend line is descending. It's downward because it created a break for me once. And my middle and the detailed trend line is signaling the descending signal.
ببخشید روی همین جزء و نزول شما که گفتی چی هست؟
یه لحظه آقای CD20 یه لحظه من ببینم کیا مشکل دارم. عذرخواهی میکنم ببخشید. خانم آماده گفتین کی مشکل داره؟ وبینار ساعتون خب کد آی پی میگه بهشون ندادین. باید حتما فیلتر شکنش روشن باشه. فیلتر شکن سعی کنم وی پی ان نه ببینید اعتماد احتمال داره VPNی که استفاده میکنه نرم افزار زومو نتونه بشناسه، بخاطر همین کانکت نمیشه. بهش بگین چه اروری میده. ارور چی داره بهتون میده الان؟ کانکتینگ این مال VPNش هست. خب دیگه اون VPN نتونسته نرم افزار رو شناسایی کنه، همون سایتی که بهشون معرفی کردیم میگه برام VPN بگیرن. الان هر کی که مشکل داره ارور میده بهش کانکتینگ میده، فقط مربوط به VPNش هستش. نه بایتون اضاف نکن. خب ببخشید آقای CB بفرمایید.
عذرخواهی میکنم. این فرمودید که خط جزءشو میزنن. اون خط کلشو من متوجه شدم که گفتید میشکنه، من یه خط دوباره روند مختلف متضاد میشه، ولی اون خط جزء متوجه نشدم که چی میگید.
Look, the detailed trend, when we talk about the details, means that we draw a trend line with the last two peaks that have been created. Right? And the middle trend, that we have a peak in the middle of the wave. We take it from the middle peak to the end. It's true that it has made a contrast, but your trend line doesn't tell you to buy or sell. Trend line just gives you the elasticity. You see, I drew a trend line and it made kind of like a wolf analysis. My long term and medium term told me increase, and my short term has told me decrease. So in this region, you're in this region. According to this region, you've got to get signals with other formulas. And this trend line just helps you. According to the trend line, you shouldn't do anything. Like you shouldn't have any reaction. You just made it clear for yourself that this upper wall and the bottom wall is your boundary. So if my top wall breaks, my whole trend becomes increasing, and if my bottom wall breaks, my whole trend becomes decreasing. So when your trend line is like this, it means that it's a sideways trend. It means that right now my trend line is sideways. It's moving in a straight direction. So this straight direction has gotten its wave. The only times that your trend is not sideways is that it's an upward zigzag creating. So in a trend line that you have a middle, it's sideways. But the detailed trend is not sideways. It means a crash. But you don't have the right to buy according to it. So you just made your boundaries clear. But if it's past this wall or this bottom wall, you know that what's gonna happen in the future. So you mean the detailed trend is when we go from the longer time to the shorter time, right?
درسته آقای عبداللهی؟
یه بار دیگه تکرار کنید.
ببخشید ما یه خط روند تو H4 داریم، درسته؟
روند تو H4 داریم. خب
we have a trend line in H4. For getting the detailed trend, we should go to the lower time frame, like H30, H15. In those time frames, the detailed trend line has been defined. So you mean the time frames under 1 hour, you mean, is the detailed trend?
آره دیگه، اصلا شما نه این تایمتون پایین بیارید.
تایم شما الان 1 ساعته.
تایم من ببین پای 4 بیه. من چون داشتم یه چیز توضیح میدادم اومدم روی 4. چون می‌خوام مارکت باز بشه. برید در کل شما روی تایم
In
4
general,
ساعته باشین
be on
و
the 4-hour
ترناتون رو
time
بزنید.
period
چرا؟
and
چون
draw
تایم
your
4
trend
ساعته
lines.
خیلی از
Why?
قله‌های
Because
دور
most of the
ظاهر
peaks that
افتاده
are in no
و
چطور
use,
فرمودید که هرچی قله دورتر بشه
you said when we get farther from the peak,
جزتر میشه؟
it will be
دورتر
more in
باشی
detail.
جزتر میشه، جمع‌تر بشه. منظورتون اینه؟
استاد خط روان طلایی چیزی گفتی تازه ما رسیدیم، ببخشید.
نه ما هر چیزی نگفتم، ما داریم خط ترن توضیح میدیم. ببینید وقتی
When
که
I
من
take
تایمم رو از
my
4
time
بیارم
from
1
4
خیلی از
hour to 1
قله‌های
hour,
ارتفاع
so many
رو باز
unuseful peaks will
شما
open
برای
for
اینکه
me.
اینا رو نداشته
So for
باشید
not
یک
having
گیج
this
نکنید چارتتون
and
رو.
don't make
گیج
your
نکنید.
chart
تایم شما 4
confusing,
ساعته خیلی
put your
از
time frame in
قله‌هایی
4
که به درد
hours,
نخورن
and most of the
حذف
peaks that
میشه
are
و
unuseful will be
قله‌هایی که
removed,
اصل کاریتون نشون
and
میده.
your main
اونی
peaks
که باید
will
قطع
remain,
خطش رسم بشه.
the ones that
مثلا
you
وقتی
should
یک
draw
قله
your trend
داره
lines with.
من
If
اینجا
it's not
مثلا
like
قله
this, I
دارم،
have a
اینو
peak
ردیف
here
میکنم، اینجا مثلا
and a
قله دارم،
here
اینجا قله
and like
دارم.
here.
ولی وقتی تایم 4 ساعته
But when it's in the
میزنم
4-hour period,
خیلی از این قله‌های پرت رو
many of
حذف
these
میکنم.
unuseful peaks will be
شما
removed.
از الان خودتون رو
So
عادت
from
بدید در
here,
تایم 4 ساعته
get
شروع کنید
used to the
خط
4-hour
زدن.
time frame.
یعنی چی؟ این تایم 4 ساعته هستم.
What does that
این
mean?
یکیش میشه کلی،
I'm in my 4-hour time
یکیش
frame.
میشه
This is the
میانه،
general. This is the middle.
اینم یکیش میشه چی؟ جزء.
And this is the detailed one.
دوباره یه دونه جزء دیگه هم میتونید داشته باشید که
And I can have another detailed
خیلی
one.
راحت. ولی یک
Very
ساعت
easy.
بازش خودت
But if you
داری
do that, you're
جان.
just confusing yourself.
ببخشید آخه شما جلسه قبل همین صحبت دوست من گفتی، شما گفتی تایم یک روز به بالا میشه خط روند کلی، 4 ساعته میشه میانه و زیر 1 ساعت میشه جزئی. الان صحبت یه جور دیگه شد.
نه ببینید چیزی بهتون بگم، ما اینو داریم وقتی که صحبت از تایم میبریم بالا داریم خط موجا رو قله ها رو حذفش میکنیم. خب شما اینجوری من بهتون بگم برای اینکه متوجه
For your
بشید.
understanding,
پایین‌ترین
the
قله‌ای که
lowest
داریم
peak that we
به
have
بالاترین
to the
قله‌ای که بعد
highest
از
peak that
مرکز
have been
ایجاد
created
شده
after the
میشه
center
کل.
would
یعنی
be
من
our
اگر که در
general
تایم
trend line. So if I
4
look at
ساعته
this
اینو نگاه
in the
کنم در
4-hour
تایم
time
گذاری
frame, in the
هیچی در
daily
نمیاد.
time frame, it would be nothing.
پایین‌ترین قله من چی هست؟ این
What's my
یعنی
lowest peak?
در روند در رسم خط ترند کلی
In
پایین‌ترین
drawing
قله
the
یا
general trend
بالاترین
line,
قله رسم
the
میشه.
lowest
یعنی
peak
توی
or
این
the
چارتی که
highest
دارین
peak it will be
می‌بینید
drawn.
چه تایم 4 ساعته هست چه 1 ساعته هر
If
تایمی
it
هست
is
مربوط به
4
همون
hours or
در
1
تایم
hour
4
period, it will be
ساعته
about that time
این
frame.
میشه
In the
کل
4-hour time period, this is
در
the general
تایم
one,
یک روزه
single day time
اینم میشه
frame.
چی؟
Also, this is the general one.
چون پایین‌تر از این قله دیگه من ندارم.
Because I don't have any
این در
peaks lower
تایم
than
4
this.
ساعته خودش
But this
میشه
in the
کل.
4-hour time period
در
is
تایم
the
روزانه خودش هم میشه
general,
کل.
and
چون
it's
پایین‌تر
in
از
the
این نیست.
single day is also is general.
من اگه که
Because
در
there's
تایم
nothing lower
4
than
ساعت
this.
رسم
The reason
می‌کنم
I draw
خط
in the 4-hour
ترند
time
کلی
period,
4 ساعت رو رسم
I
می‌کنم.
draw the general trend line of the 4
بلند
hours.
مدت دارم میگم
If we do
یعنی
long
که
term,
پایین‌ترین قله‌ای
means
گرفتم.
that I took the lowest peak.
میان مدت وسط
In the
قله
medium
رو
term,
میگیرم.
I take the middle
کوتاه مدت
peak,
دو
and I
قله
take the
آخر
last
رو
2 peaks
میگیرم.
in the short
در تایم
term.
روزانه هم فرقی نمی‌کنه.
It's no different
در
in the
تایم
daily time
روزانه
frame.
پایین‌ترین قله
In
من
the
میگم این
daily,
میشه.
the lowest peak of my own is this, right?
در روند جزء میانش کدوم میشه؟
In the detail and the middle trend
قله نداره.
is,
اگر
I don't have
شارت
any
بگیره
peaks in here,
میشه این.
is this to this.
بله
سلام قرداش.
سلام علیکم.
پس هر
پیشیده دستن چی؟ لبه دارم باید.
من زهرم لله
اینو خواهیم که پیشیده دستن رو کردیم سر زمان. سر زمان. خدا.
دوستان صدای اضافه بزن اگه با گوشی دارین نگاه میکنین با گوشی رو میدین الان صدا اینجا داره میفته. خواهشاً صدای اضافه رو ببندید یا موت کنین خودتون رو زمانی میخواین صحبت کنین موت در بیاد.
آقای عبداللهی
جان
الان ما میتونیم که خطا بکشیم
Can I draw the lines and explain so you see if I got it right? Yes, I will make it available to you.
سی دی
بله
2000
بله شده. الان دسترسی دارین یه کلیک کنین دسترسی پیدا کنین.
بله
بله
شما الان اینی که فرمودید خب
خب
ما الان تایم 4 ساعته هستیم. کلی را شما همینا فرمودید. همینه که هست. اینجا. خب اینجا ولی یه خطی اگر اینجا را ما نداشتیم،
In the 4-hour
اینجا را ما
time
داشتیم.
period,
یعنی
it would
از
go from
اینجا خط
here
تشکیل
to
میشد،
here, and it would be our general
میرفت
trend.
اینجا.
خب
درسته؟ این میشد خط کلی ما.
خب
وقتی
And
که
when the
شکست
break was
انجام
done,
میشد، فرموده بودید که این
you
به این
said it
معناست که
means
میخواد
that it
بره
wants to
تایم
go on a higher
بالاترش
time
را
frame.
درست بکنه.
خب
درست میگم یا نه؟
درسته.
It's correct.
خب حالا اینجا ما
Here
یه
we
قله
have a
داریم،
peak,
درسته؟
right?
خب
خب حالا که اینجا این قله ایجاد شد،
So a
ما
peak that is
بین
created
این
here
خط و
between
این
this
خط
line
میشه
and
خط
this line
میانمون.
is our middle trend line.
درسته استاد؟
نه دیگه از مرکز
I think you
نمیشه.
cannot consider it from the
وسط
center.
موج.
Your middle trend line is from the
اینجا
wave's
رو
middle.
شما میفرمایید میانه؟
نه همینی که
از
اول
کجا؟
رسم کردین. ببخشید میانه از قله دوم
Your middle line is from the second peak to the next peak,
این میشه میان. نه به آخرین قله‌ای که شکل گرفت.
to the last
اینجا
peak that has been
قله‌ای
created.
شکل گرفت. کجاست پایین‌ترین قله؟
Where is it? Obviously your lowest one.
بله دقیقاً.
Here, right?
اینجا
Yes,
این
exactly.
میشه میانه.
So this is the middle.
خب جزءمون پس میشه روندی که الان شکل
So
گرفته.
our detailed one is the trend that has been
یعنی از
created
اینجا
right now. Like from
به اینجا
here
باید رسم بشه.
to
درسته؟
here, right? It's
اینجا
right.
را میره برای تکمیل
So
تایم
it will
بالاتری.
complete
فرض
its higher time, right? It's right.
خب خیلی ممنون. همین خواستم ببینم که اشکالی اگر دارم
نه
شایدم
بعدش هم برید.
Look, I stress again. The trend line is not a tool to tell you when to buy and when to sell. It just makes you some boundaries.
بله
It just determines your market's elasticity. And another thing is that when the walls break, it tells you what's going to happen to your market. You should never get signals according to your trend line. Only and only get them according to Fibonacci and pivot.
استاد میبخشید.
یه لحظه بزن
استاد میبخشید صدام داره؟
بفرما جان.
ببخشید پس خط روند
So trend line wouldn't be a reason for opening new orders, right? Not at all. Only when your boundaries break. Those walls that are your red boundaries. I say like here, here. This is my risk area. And if it breaks, I know that my trend is going to crash down completely. But like when you guys, according to your trend line, on the walls you open buying orders or selling orders, it's wrong. It's a mistake. You should factor and you should open orders by Fibonacci and pivots. By trend line, you should just see if the wall gonna break or not. So if you consider your trend line, it may crash down, your deal would be negative. Why? Because you've heard that in the trend line walls, you should just sell or buy. Trend lines only use is to tell you that if my price hit the walls, if you draw them correctly, there's a pivot. Here that it hit it, it was my pivot. In unuseful places, the price wouldn't hit the trend line. But just when it wants to reach its pivot, it hits the trend line.
میشه موس منو آزاد کنید؟ 2958 2958 یونیفکس 2958.
Can you make my mouse available?
یه کلیک کنه آزاد.
بله شما هفته قبل فرمودید وقتی ما اینجا خط ترند میکشیم
He told us that
اینجا
when we draw a trend line here,
چهار شیفتتون رو غیر فعال کنید.
refresh it once and it will be alright.
اینجا درسته
Here,
فرمودید
right?
اگر ما چنین
You
خط
said that
ترند
if we
بکشیم
drew
اگر
something like
خط
this,
شکست اومد پایین حق
if
نداریم
the
خط
trend line
جابجا
breaks,
کنیم
we shouldn't
من
move the
جلسه
trend line.
سوالو داشتم.
بله این جلسه الان میگید جابجاش کنیم
But right now you say we should move
چقدر
it.
فاصله؟ بذار یه لحظه قد کلیک نکنید شما. ببینید اینجا کلیک نکنید یه لحظه موس میپره یه لحظه.
ببخشید.
The past was this, right?
اینجا بود درسته؟
It was here, right?
بله
گذشته اینجا بود. شکست
It broke down here and it got to pull back downwards. So I told you, when it breaks your trend line, don't fool yourself and put it lower.
احسن
درست.
بله
حالا اینا من رسم میکنم.
I draw this. How long was the distance that it came back inside?
داخل برگشت
هنوز استاد داخل برنگشت.
یه لحظه صبر کنید. شما چون دارید
Because you're seeing it in a low time frame, you don't see the rejects. This is a reject. I put it on a longer time frame.
کلتونم بوده
This one is your general trend line.
این حالت. آیا
This
به
way.
نظر شما تو این تایم شکسته؟
Do you think in this time frame it has broken down?
نه.
No.
دقیقش هم بخوام بکنم این میشه.
If I want to do it accurately, it would be this.
اینجا خودش در
In
تایم
its higher time frame,
قله.
there's a peak.
من میارم تایم پایین تر.
I lower my time frame.
درستش میکنم میشه این.
I fix it, and it's this.
آیا این شکست بوده؟
Is this a break?
من اینا رو پاک کنم. تو مشکلت اینه که فقط داری یه لحظه کلیک نکنی.
من میخواستم صدا رو ببندم ببخشید
ببینید این دقیقاً چیزی بوده هفته آینده
Look.
گذشته بهتون یاد دادم. آیا به نظر شما این شکسته؟
Do you think it's a break?
نه
نه،
خیر
ریجکت
سر خط
شده.
در تایم 4 ساعته میارم.
In the 4-hour time period, I pull it.
میشده این.
It's this and this.
توی 4 ساعته شما دارید
In the
می‌بینید
4
شکست.
hours, you see that it's a break, right?
درست.
تایم روزانه شکست نیست.
In the daily time frame, it's not a break.
وقتی که داری خط ترنداتو میزنی
It's because when you're drawing your trend lines in the 4-hour time frame,
فراموش میکنی.
you're forgetting your daily
من
time
اگر
frame.
که این حرفو زدم
If I told you this, it's because in the daily and the weekly, it has broken
شما
down.
فقط در تایم مثلا 4 ساعته شکست میبینی.
Because you see a break in your 4 hours, and this is a reject. Tonight's candle is gonna end exactly like this, and your trend is gonna go upwards. But in your 4 hours, you're fooling yourself. You say, huh, my trend line broke, and it crashes, so you open a buying order. When you do the buying, you come until here, just right before the pivot. From here, your price is gonna go up, because you had a daily trend change, and it wouldn't count as a break. Because your trend line was this. Your general trend line was this. Your general trend line didn't break, did it? If my single day trend line has broken, and my price was come here, I didn't have a trend line that was upwards. It would all be downwards. This and this.
شما زمانی میتونی از این
The
صحبت
time
استفاده کنی
you can
که
use
دقیقاً
this
تایمار
just when
خط تنزی
3 of your
بشه.
time frames, trend lines, has broken.
شما فقط داری تو تایم 4 ساعته نگاه
You're just
کنی.
seeing it
یک
in the
ساعته
4-hour time
نگاش کن.
period
الان بازم
or
یه
1
مشکلی
hour.
پیش اومد. گیج شدیم. شما
Last
جلسه
session you
فرمودید
said
هر
each
خطی
line
تایم
is
خودش
valid in its
میخوره.
own time
تایم
frame,
دیگه نباید در واقع
and we shouldn't consider them in another time frame. Right? No, wait a minute.
استاد الان ما بیام رو خط مثلا تایم
If we draw lines in the
روزانه
daily
خط
time
بکشیم
frame
بعد بیام رو 4 ساعته قاعدتا
and
عوض
then
میشه
switch to
دیگه.
4 hours,
نه نه یک تغییر
no,
نمی‌کنه.
no,
4 ساعت و
it doesn't
یکی
change.
یکیه.
The
هفته
daily
و
and 4 hours
ماهانه هم
is
یکیه.
the same.
دو تا
Weekly
جفتش
and
تغییر
monthly
نمی‌کنه.
is the
هفته
same.
و
The
ماهانه
rule
هم
is
سه
monthly and
تن.
weekly
روزانه
are
و 4 ساعت
matched,
هم سه تن. یک
daily
ساعت و
and
یک
4
ساعت هم
hours
سه تن.
are matched,
حالا من
and
4
1
ساعت
hour
خط
and
تنز رو
30
رد
minutes also match.
این خط تنز 4 ساعته من
This
کلی
is my trend line in 4
من
hours.
اینو برای تو اثبات کنم.
I want to prove it now.
با این روزانه من چه فرقی داره؟
This is my daily. What's the difference?
فرقی
استاد
داره.
تایم پایین تر بیاین میشکنه ولی
If it go lower, it will
از ست
break.
داری درش میاری. تو داریم یه تایم یک ساعته دیگه از ست بودن درش داری میاری. شما حق نداری
You
در
don't
تایم
have the
4 ساعتی
right
تعلیم
that
می‌کنی
if you are
بیای یک
analyzing
ساعته.
in the
چون
4-hour
خب
time
سیگنالش
period,
فرق می‌کنه. یک
switch
4
to 1
ساعته سیگنال
hour
افزایش بهت
because
میده.
their
یک
signals are
ساعته سیگنال
different.
نزول بهت
4 hours
میده.
give you an
ولی
upward
وقتی 4
signal,
ساعت
but
روزانه
1 hour give
سیگنال
you
افزایش
downward
داره
signal.
4
But if the
ساعته هم
daily
سیگنالش
time frame
افزایش
give
میده.
you
ببین
upward
این
signal,
تایمای با
the 4 hours also give you upward
اصلا
signal.
شما زیر 4 ساعته
Don't
نیایید.
ever put it less than 4
الان
hours.
تاکید میکنم چرا که
I
داری وقتی میای
insist.
به تعداد
It will make you
ببین
yourself and
خودتو
your market
مارکتینگ
confusing.
مبهم میکنه
I
خودتو
will
به
make you do
اشتباه میندازی.
mistakes.
اصلا سیگنالش فرق
Because
میکنه.
their signals are
در تایم
different.
یک
1
ساعته
hour
هیچ
signal
وقت
is
سیگنالش
never
مثل
like
4
the
ساعته
4
نیست.
hour signal.
یک
1 hour
ساعته
time
مثل
frame
نیم
is like the
ساعته
30
یک
minutes
ساعته من
time.
سیگنال
1 hour
نزول
I
دارم
have
نیم ساعت هم
downward
سیگنال
signal. In half an hour I also have a downward signal. In a
در تایم
15
دو
minutes time
ساعته من
frame
سیگنال نزول دارم.
I have a
در
downward
تایم 5 دقیقه
signal.
من
In
سیگنال
5
نزول
minutes
دارم.
time frame I
چرا
also
که
have a
اینا
downward
دوتا هم
signal
هستن.
because they
اینا
match,
دوتا هم هستن.
and
این
those
دوتا
two
هم
also
صفر هستن.
match,
این دوتا
and
هم
these two
صفر
also
هستن.
match, and those two also match.
ولی بله وقتی که شما بیای رو تایم
But
یک ساعته
yes,
بذاری مثلا 4 ساعته من اینو
but if you
میزنم
switch from 4 hours to 1 hour,
در تایم یک ساعته
in 1 hour this
من
is.
چی دارم روند نزول.
What did I have? I have
4
a
ساعته
downward
من افزایش رو
trend.
داشتم.
But in 4 hours I had a upward trend.
متوجه شدین؟
بله استاد.
ببینید یه کار کنین اینجا بذارید
To make
سخت
it easier for
نگیره.
yourself,
خب شما هر وقت خواستی خط تنز
whenever you
بزنی
wanted to draw
وقتی
a
در
trend
تایم
line,
روزانه
if you drew
زدی
it in the daily time
روزانه 4
frame,
ساعت یکی در میاد.
your
این
time
روزانه
frame and your
بود
4
این
hours
4
is the
ساعت
same.
فرقی نمیکنه.
They have no difference. If you have a buying order, keep it.
اگر بای داری
If you have a
نگرش
buy, keep it.
بای من با ضرر بسته
But
شد.
my buying order
نباید
closed
بسته
with a
باشی.
loss.
نترسی.
Don't be
چیزی
afraid.
گذاشتیم خودش بسته شد استاپ لاس. خیلی هم ضرر سنگین
ضرر
بود.
ندادیم بابا داو جان.
نمیدونم من قاطی کردم حتی ضرر گذاشته بودم حسابی. الان وارد بشم دوباره یا نشم؟
نه دیگه نه این اصلا خودش تقریبا بسته صبر کن.
130 تا
ببخشید من
استفاده پایین
وصل نبودم.
بلندتره فیلد میشه. جان
ببخشید وصل نبودم. این پوند ین و پوند دلار رو چیکار کنیم؟
پوند به ین که میاد پایین پوند به دلارتون هم نبستین نبودیم اون لحظه نه
نه کانکت نبودم.
با احتمال الان
صبر کن.
فکر کنم صفر باشه یا تو سود باشه پوند دلارتون رو ببنده.
آها
جناب
باشه.
استاد ببخشید اینطور اگر بخواد بشه اصلا رشته افکار آموزشی ما از بین میره. یه چیز
نه شما زمان ورکشاپ تایم رو قطع کردیم یه خود معاملات باز بود. من عذرخواهی میکنم فعلا بدون جلسه رو عذرخواهی میکنم. خب بابت خط تنز متوجه شدیم؟
You see, the trend line that you want to draw in the time frame of 1 day, draw your trend line like this is in my daily. This is my daily trend line. This is my daily, right? With my 4-hour time period is this. If I want to draw daily, is this. It doesn't have any difference. So just to not confuse yourself, don't come lesser than 4 hours. Less than 4 hours is forbidden. Just imagine that you have 4 hours and up. When you want to draw your general, if your trend is upwards, with your eyes that you're looking, the lowest peak to the highest peak is your general one. For the middle one, you can take this from here, and you can take this from here as well. You can draw two middle ones. This one's gonna get rejected. Which one's gonna be the detailed one? We don't have a detailed one. You don't have a detailed one because there is no peaks. And you can connect this to this. So whenever you wanted to draw the general, draw it on the lowest peak, the middle, just take the middle of the wave. Detailed one is the last two peaks. But all in all, trend line doesn't give you signals.
سوالی دارین توی خط ترند باز اگه ببینید متوجه نشدین باید بپرسید چون که اینا مهم هستن. من یه جای دیگه هم براتون مثال میزنم.
I will make an example in another chart like New Zealand. Teacher, please draw a trend line here. I'll do it right now. I'll do it.
برای رسم خط ترند کل کله رو
کله اول
مثل این پایین‌ترین قله من اینه.
میشه بالاترین قله.
When we take the highest peak instead of the lowest peak, it will become the detailed one. It's become this. If he wants the highest peak, is the detailed one. If your trend is downwards, imagine you don't have this here. Like, maybe your trend was downwards. From top to bottom is your peak. Teacher, why didn't you draw it with the first peak? Which first peak? The highest peak is this. From here I don't have anything. From this red line I don't have anything. But there is a peak in between those peaks. Here? Yes, yes. It was a break. Put your hand on wherever you want in the market. Imagine I also didn't have this place. In the past, I didn't have this place. It would be this, right? It would be this. In here, a break was created. An upward trend becomes a downward trend line. Correct. Now that it's downwards, you draw detailed trend lines. Here a little break, and it will play in these walls, and you will understand if you learn Fibonacci that this is a pivot area, and it doesn't come up. When it goes down again, we update it. There is no failed breakage of trend line. We use the trend line alone. When we combine it, you know that this in the up it was a Fibonacci of 50.
بفرمایید سوالتون چیه؟
استاد این صدا رو نمیبندن، اصلا متوجه نمیشدم.
چی؟ 1,900,000 چند به
دوستان صدا رو ببندین، من نمیدونم کی هست.
استاد شما مثلا نمیتونی خودتون صدا رو ببندی.
نمیدونم اگه باشه توی کمه دوستان.
آقا
استاد
هر کی خواست صحبت بکنه صداش از مد در بیاره. من الان صدای همه رو بستم. صحبتش تموم شد برو مد کنه.
خب ببخشید من در واقع سوال قبلی ما هنوز قانع نشدم استاد.
بفرمایید چی بود؟
من استاده
آقای یونفکس
2958
2950. خب یه کلیک کنه فعال میشه.
خب ببینید استاد، فرض میگیریم ما این چرا با تاخیر عمل میکنه؟
Teacher,
ما
we
فرض
imagine
میگیریم این محدوده رو
that
نداشتیم
we didn't
هنوز.
have
خب
this
از اینجا به
area.
بعد رو
From
نداشتیم.
here and on, we didn't have it.
درسته؟
یه خط بندازیم
Right.
کجا دقیقا نداشت. یه خط افقی بندازیم.
Put a horizontal line so I will
از
see.
اینجا به بعد ما نداشتیم.
We
من
didn't
خط
have.
ترندم
I drew
از این
my
دو تا
trend
قله
line from these
کشیدم.
two peaks,
درسته؟
right?
مارکت
The trend
اومده
has
بازار
broken
اومده
here
اینجا
in the
خط شکسته
market
شده رفته بالا.
and it went
این آیا به
upwards.
من داره میگه
Is this
روند
telling
عوض
me
شده
that the
یا
trend
من
has
باید بیام خطم
changed,
عوض کنم؟
or should
خطم
I
آپدیت کنم.
update
نه،
my
عوض
trend
نکن.
line? No, it
من
hasn't
باید
changed.
تو آپدیت کنم.
You should update
حالا
your trend line.
الان امروز میخوام یه چیز یادتون بدم
I want to
که
teach you
بفهمید از
something
کجا روند
that
عوض
lets you know
خب
from
آخه
where
اینجوری
does the
اگه قرار
trend
باشه هر
change.
سری که
Like if
مثلا
I
خط میشکنه
replace
من
my trend line
خطم
every
عوض
time it
کنم
breaks,
خب چیزی
it
دستگیرم
doesn't give me
نمیشه.
anything.
دیگه. بله.
Yes, that's
آقا
right.
به خاطر که اگه بخوای حالت
If you want
دیفالت
to use it
استفاده
in the
کنی،
default
همش به
mode,
اشتباه میفته.
it will all be wrong.
خب
So
چیکار باید
what should I
بکنم؟
چیکار
do?
بکنین؟ الان من یه سوال دارم از همگی. با بود به خط ترند، رسم خط ترند رو همه یاد گرفتن به چه صورته؟ اینو به من بگین. و یاد گرفتین که من این مبحث رو بهتون بگم چجوری میفهمین که آیا این خط ترند شکست کامل یا آپدیتیه.
من که یاد گرفتم.
بله منم یاد گرفتم، ممنونم.
خیلی خوب.
بله استاد ما هم یاد گرفتید، فقط مشکل همین دوست ما هم همین مشکل داریم که
الان
وقتی
میگم
شکست انجام بشه به چه شکل آپدیت.
اوکی.
استاد ببخشید
جان
همون جایی که این بنده خدای که اسمشون نمیدونم چی بود 2957 بود 58
Can you pull up that
اون
person's
همونجا رو
trend line?
همینجا اون قله‌ای که ایشون خط انداختن بعد گفتن اینجا ما باید بفهمیم شکسته شده یا نه. خب من این قله و پایه ها پایین‌تر از هم دیگه نیستن.
خب اینو شما میدونی. الان بچه‌ها نمیدونن، من همینو میخوام توضیح بدم.
دست شما درد نکنه.
خواهش می‌کنم. اینو الان چون بچه‌ها نمیدونن. شما اون بچه زرنگای درسا جلو میخونی یا خب ببینید
How do I find out that when my trend line has broken down, my trend has changed or not? This is our second technique. Wherever that you have to pay attention. It's really important. Now my unuseful piece will be removed.
هر جا از کجا بیارم همینجا براتون ببینید این قله
This peak, I'm sorry, this peak has ended lower than this one. Even few millimeters. This one is lower than this one. And this peak is lower than that one. Or even this one. When our peaks, there's a upward trend, they're higher than each other one after another. And this one is higher than this one, and so on. Now it's the other way around.
اینجا جابجا شد این
This
قله
peak has
چند
ended
میلیمتر
a
از
few
این پایین‌تر
millimeters
تموم شد.
lower than this
این
one,
قله این که هیچ تاییدش نبوده، این قله از اینجا پایین‌تر تموم شد و
and
این
this one is
قله
lower
از
than
اینجا
this
پایین‌تر
one,
تموم شد.
and this one has ended lower than this one.
راحت‌ترش،
Let me say it a
روان‌ترش.
little easier.
این قله
Didn't this
مگر
peak
پایین‌تر از این
end
تموم
lower
نشد.
than this one?
این قله مگر پایین‌تر از این قله تموم نشد. نشان دهنده این است
It
که کلاً
shows
روند افزایش تموم شد.
that my
و
upward
تا
trend has ended.
زمانی که قله‌ها
And
که
until
پایین‌تر از همدیگه
your
داره تموم
peaks
میشه،
are ending
روند
lower
شما
than each
اینجاست.
other, your trend is downwards.
خب ببینید اینجا
So
مثلا
now, you
این
see,
قله مرکز
we
بود.
take it as a central
اینجا
peak.
قله مرکز بود.
This is a central
قله
peak.
یک
Peak
از
1
قله صفر
is lower than
پایین‌تر.
peak 0.
ولی
But you
حق
don't have the right
ندارید
to
بگید
say
که
that this
تأیید کنید که
confirms
کلاً روند
that
من نزول.
the whole
چه
trend
زمانی
is
حق دارید؟
downwards.
حالا اینجا
There's a
یه
long
فاصله
distance
زیاد
here.
افتاده. بذارید یه مارکتی بیارم که
Let me pull up a
فاصله
market that doesn't have a
مثلا
distance. Like this one.
اینجا.
استاد
Here.
ببخشید، میشه مارکت قبلی بیاری تو من سوالمو واضح‌تر بپرسم؟
این مارکت قبلی.
خب بله، موضوع به من میدید؟ ببخشید.
دارین دسترسی دارین کلیک.
خب ببینید الان من فرض میگیرم
Right now, I imagine that I've drawn this line here, right?
من متوجه صحبتتون شدم. میگه الان من این خط اینجا کشیدم که کندل از اینجا خارج شده.
نه، همون بحثی هم که دوستمون گفت که شما
I mean
میگید
that
ترفند دوم.
the second technique
ترفند
doesn't
دوم
work
همچنان
here.
جواب نمیده دیگه. ببینید خط
Look,
الان من خط
I
اینجا
have drawn this
کشیدم.
line here,
به قول شما
and as
خط
you
اینجا
say, it has
شکسته.
breaking down.
برده
And the peak
پایین‌تر
has
از این
ended
تموم
lower
شد.
than
یعنی
this.
نیومده بالاتر تموم بشه
Like
که
it
به من
didn't go
حالت
higher
تاییدیه
to
بده.
give me
ولی
confirmation.
دوباره
And the
بازار
market
برگشته
has
اومده
came
پایین.
down.
نه نه نه.
No,
نذاشته
no, no.
صحبت تموم بشه. ببینید
You didn't let me finish. In this technique, you have a warning and then a confirmation, right? According to the warning, you can't say this is a downward trend. Just because there's a long distance, I will come back to this chart again. But I want a chart that is easier, and then again, I will come back. In euro to dollar, my trend. So what's my trend here? It's upwards. My trend is upwards, right? So how should I know that my trend is still upwards? I even draw this old trend line that makes it your trend line. How should I know that I should update my trend line and put it here? There's no difference between until the time that my trend's past was downwards, when a peak in the bottom, meaning the second peak, comparison to the central peak, ends in a higher note, it gives you a warning that your downwards trend is gonna end. It doesn't say it has ended, it says it's going to end. So it's a warning. But when the higher peak's confirmation is this, the confirmation is this. So when your trend is upwards, peaks that are above the upwards wave is your confirmation. These lower ones are the warning. And the peak above the wave, meaning this, ends higher than this peak. It's a confirmation that your trend is completely changed from downwards to upwards and there is no crash. Draw the general and the middle trends, not the detailed one ever. Here, the peak is higher than this one and this peak is higher than this one. And my trend is still upwards. This peak is higher than this and this peak is higher than this. It's still upwards. Here, this peak is higher than this one, but this peak is lower than this one. Is there any confirmation in this price range
علامتی که اینجا قله شکل گرفت
that
تاییدیه‌ای
a peak
داری؟
has created. Do you have a confirmation?
نه دیگه
اینطوری که از این بالاتر باشه؟
No.
نداری.
نه.
درسته؟
And do
آیا
you
تاییدیه
have
هم
a
داری از
confirmation
این پایین
that
باشه
is
که
lower
قله
from
شکل
this,
نگرفت؟
but the peak hasn't even
قله
created yet?
اینجا هنوز شکل نگرفت. این فراکتور افتاده. این کندل رو هنوز
I
نداره.
hadn't put the candle yet.
قله چه زمانی شکل
When will
میگیره؟
the peak
یک و
be
نیم کندل
created?
بعد.
1.5
مرکز
candles
شما
later.
کجاست؟ یعنی گردنه شما کجاست؟ اینجا.
Is
آیا
this
این
lower than this
آیا
one or
این
not?
پایین‌تر از این شده یا نه؟
The peaks are higher than each other one after another
میگیم با تا
until
زمانی
the
که
base of
جای
my main
پایه‌های
peaks are
قله‌های
not
اصلی
displaced.
ما جابجا نشن روند من افزایش.
My trend is upwards.
این قله بالاتر پایین‌تر تموم بشه. پس من
This
همین
peak has
افزایش
not ended lower than this one,
دوباره اومده بالا.
so
این
it's still
قله
upwards.
شده بالاتر از این.
This one is higher than this one.
پس روند من اینجا باید خط ترندم آپدیت کنم.
So now I have to update my trend line.
قله حساب نمیشه.
Teacher,
بگیم
does
این
this
الان
count as a
پایین‌تر از
peak?
بوده.
کلیک کنیم ببینم.
Click so I'll see.
اینجا.
Here.
درسته؟ میبینید الان؟
نه این توی موجه.
No,
این اگه تایم
this is
پایین
on the wave.
بیارینش تو تایم
If you lessen your
هفتگی یا
time,
تو
like
تایم
in the
روزانه
daily
بکنیش،
time frame,
اصلا یه موج جداگانه
it is a
میشه. ما الان صحبت
completely
می‌کنیم
separate
ماهانه.
wave.
الان خط
But our
ترند
time frame is
روزانه
monthly. I
می‌بینم.
want to draw my trend line
همین
here.
تایم دارم میگم استاد ببخشید. ببینید شما الان میگید این قله باید پایین‌تر از این بود.
توی این تایم اون
In
قله
this time
توی
frame,
موجه.
it's a peak on the wave.
قله‌های توی موج
The
اصلا
peaks
مهم
on the wave are
نیست.
not
این موج
important.
من هست، درسته؟
Like this is my wave.
موجه.
من موج شما رو نمیبینم.
خب بیا کلیک کردم. این موج من هست.
This is my wave.
این قله‌ای توی موجه.
And it's
قله حساب
a peak
نمیشه.
inside the
حساب
wave.
نکنین اینا رو.
So it doesn't count
یعنی
as a
این وقتی
peak.
موج من هست،
So when this is my
این قله
wave,
حساب نمیشه.
this
چرا؟
doesn't count
توی
as a
موج
peak
من افتاده. تو وسط
because
موج
it's
من افتاده.
inside, in the middle of my
اینو
wave.
میگم ها.
این چرا؟
He means this one.
اینو میگم ها.
همین
خب این که خودش
اینو
قله.
من میگم.
This is a peak though.
همین میگم. میگم الان شما
This is
میگید
what I
این
mean.
قله
You say
پایین‌تر از
that
این
this
تموم نشده
peak
که
hasn't
تایید
ended
گرفته.
lower than
ولی
this
این
one.
قله که
اختار
حساب
داده
میشه.
فقط اختار داده تایید نداده.
It just
تایید
gave us a
دادی؟
warning.
تاییدش کدوم
نه.
میخوایم بگیریم؟
What is your confirmation?
تایید این
The
قله
next
باید
piece
بیاد
is
پایین‌تر
should
از این تموم بشه. قله
and
بعدی.
lower than this
درسته؟
one.
داشتین یا نه؟
نه نداشتیم.
مادام میگه تایید
Look,
باید داشته باشیم.
should have a confirmation.
داره هشدار میده.
It is giving us a warning.
ببینید من چجوری بهتون بگم یه جوری دیگه بگم.
How do I say it? How should I make it easier?
مبحثش واقعا سخته.
This is really hard, I
یه
know.
لحظه کلیک نکنین. اینو من یه بار
استاد اسخایی
جان.
یه جور دیگه میشه بگن
Maybe if
حالا
I explain it in
جسارت
another
نباشه.
way,
بفرمایید.
شاید مفهومش
the topic
بهتر
would be
برای همه
understood
جا بیفته.
better.
بفرمایید.
الان شما توی ماهانه
Right now you're in a
درسته؟
monthly time frame, right?
بعد
You go
میره
down and it's
پایین‌تر میشه
weekly,
هفتگی، بعد روزانه،
and then
بعد
daily,
4
and
ساعته.
then
تا
4
اینجا ما
hours.
بیشتر
And we
اصلا
don't want to
نمی‌خوایم
go
کار
lower.
کنیم. خب؟ حالا چیزی که هست یه
According to the
تجربه کاری.
work experience,
چهار تایم پایین‌تر
H4
میره، نقطه
goes
D1 رو درست
and
کنه.
creates the D1
D1
point.
حرکت D1 میره هفتگی را درست کنه
D1
و
moves
هفتگی
and creates the
میره
weekly,
ماهانه را درست کنه.
and the weekly
حالا
creates
اینجا
monthly.
ما میتونیم
So
یه کار
now we
بکنیم.
can do something.
از همون 4 ساعت را خب به ترتیب بگیم آقا اگر این خط ببخشید حالا موس من کار نمیکنه.
بذاریم
اگر-
الان دسترسی میدم. الان دسترسی داریم.
بله اگر مثلا بگیم این
We
اینو حالا ما
imagine
فرض بگیریم
that
4
this is
ساعته،
4
نه
hours of
ماهیانه.
time frame,
خب؟
not monthly.
بگیریم اینجوری خب
We get
این
it
ما
like
یک
this.
نزول داریم.
We had a decrease
ما
here.
توی این بازار
In this
حرکت
market,
استراحت حرکت استراحت
moving,
رو داریم.
relaxing, moving,
الان
relaxing.
حرکته و فوقش
And this is
یه
moving.
استراحت.
And just one
بعد
relaxing.
میشه
It's
از
not always
همیشه
downwards and it's
نزول
not
و
always
همیشه صعود.
upwards.
ما الان این 4 ساعته الان به ما
This
شکل
4
نزولا
hours
داره. خب
gives
این
us
رو
a
میره.
downwards.
اگر
If
که
this
بخواد
downwards wants to
صعود
change
قرار
into a
بگیره ما
upwards
مطمئنیم
signal,
توی تایم
we can make
بالاترش
sure that in the
که D1
higher
باشه
time
یه
frames,
نقطه
it will
از
definitely
D1 رو
give
به
us
ما میده.
a D1 point.
خب این میشه تو تایم 4 ساعتش. خب ببینید الان
ببینید
The
مشکل نه،
problem
مشکل
for our
دوستای ما
friends
اینه که
is
یه
that
جاهایی خط ترن
sometimes the trend
میشکنه.
line breaks,
به هوایی که خط ترن شکسته
and because it
روند
breaks
عوض
and the
شده
trend has
میان
changed,
شروع کنن
they
معامله
start
کنن،
making
دوباره
deals,
اون روند
and the
برمیگرده تو خط ترنده.
trend
ما از کجا
goes back to
باید
the trend
بفهمیم که
line.
آیا این
How should
خط
we
ترن
know that
واقعا
if
فیل
this trend
شده
line has
یا
really
آپدیت
failed
شده؟
or it should be
بحث ما الان
updated?
اینه. ببین بحث ما
This
اینه
is
که مثلا
our
ببینید
concern.
مثلا تو
Like in
تایم
the daily time
روزانه
frame
تایم هفته
or like
عددامو
weekly.
چیز کن، یعنی از
I remove my candles.
ببینید
Look here,
مثلا
for example,
اینجا باشه شکست
it's a
مثلا
break in
بگیم
New
نه
Zealand.
شکست
Just
باشه
be it.
اینجا ببین
Here,
ما گفتیم
our
ما
friend
قبلا
said
خط
that our
ترندمون
old
این بود.
trend line was this.
اینجا میاد
Here,
قیمت
the price
خارج
goes
میشه
out
از
of
خط
the trend
ترند
line,
و به هوایی که
and
این
then
خط ترند از بین
thinking that the
رفته
trend line has been
و میتونه
destroyed, it's
افزایش بده،
upwards,
دوباره برمیگرده به
it
سمت
goes
بالا.
down again.
ما باید از کجا بفهمیم
How should we
واقعا
know
خط
if my
ترند
trend
من
line has
از بین
really
رفته
been
یا
destroyed or
آپدیت
not?
داره؟ صحبت ما اینه.
This is
ما
our
داریم میگیم تا
concern.
زمانی که
Trend line
خب
has been
این
described
متن
like
اینجوری
this.
توصیف شده
It
میگه هر
says
وقت شکسته
that
بشه
whenever it
روند
breaks,
عوض شده.
your trend changes.
ما میگیم نه قرار نیست
We
هر
say no.
شکستی
Every
نشان
break
دهنده این
doesn't
باشه که
mean
روند
that
عوض
the trend
شده.
has changed.
پس بگیم خب چجوری
So we
باید
should take
فاکتور بشیم
factors.
دیگه. فاکتورش چیه؟
What's the
مثلا
factor?
ببینید من از کجا
Like
متوجه
how do
میشم
I know
روند
that
من
my
مثلا
trend in
نیوزلند
New
من
Zealand is
همچنان
still
افزایشی
upwards
هست
or
یا
not?
میگم پایانی هست. اینجوری میگن هر وقت
Whenever
قله‌های
my
من
peaks,
از وقتی روندم نزول بوده
when my trend is
قله
downwards,
بعدی که برای
the
من
next
شکل
peak
گرفته
that has been formed
قله
for me,
مرکزیت نه قله که
not the
توی
peaks
اوج
inside the
باشه.
wave, the central
قله
ones.
مرکزیت اینا خودشون قله هر کدوم مرکزن. این
Each
مثلا
one is a
قله
central
اوجه
peak.
حساب
Like
نمیشه.
this one
یه
is
قله بالاتر
inside the
قله
wave,
تموم شده
or a
باشه
peak has ended higher than this
و
peak.
این قله یه قله هم در سمت بالا داشته باشه بالاتر از این تموم شده باشه
My
روند
trend
من
is
کلا رو
completely
به بالا
upwards
تا زمانی
until
که
these
جای
bases
پایام
get
عوض
replaced.
مثلا چی؟
Like what?
مثلا این قله اومده یا
Like
این قله تو
this
قله
peak?
این قله
This was in the
این
inside,
قله
so
پایینتر
this
از این
peak?
قله تموم شد
This peak has been ended
اخطار داده
lower
بهمون
than
گفته
this one.
روند
It has
افزایشی
given me a
شما
warning that your
میخواد به
upward
پایان
trend is
برسه
gonna end
برسه کاهشی
and it's gonna
خب
become
زمانی
downwards.
تاییدیه
It gives
میده
me
که این
confirmation
قله هم از
when
این
this
قله
peak
پایینتر تموم بشه این
gets
خودش توی
ended
موجه
lower than
میشه
this
این
peak.
قله پایینتر از این قله
So this peak lower than
این
this
قله
peak.
این تو خودش موجه
This
حساب
is
قله
in
نمیشه
inside the
قله حساب
wave.
نمیشه
It doesn't count as a
وقتی
peak.
این پایینتر
When
از
it
این
ends
تموم
lower than
میشه
this,
اینجا به من گفته
it has
روندم
told
این
me
میشه
that my
ولی
trend is
پایه موج
downwards.
اصلی
But
من کدومه
which one
اینجا
is my main wave's base? My main
اصلی
one
من
is
اینه
this. My
روند من
trend will
زمانی
come
کلا
back
برمیگرده که بیاد
completely
این یا
when
این
this
از این
one
مرکزی رد بشه بیا پایین
passes
یا
the
از این
central
بخواد
one
تموم بشه
and
تا
gets ended
زمانی
in
که
the lower.
بالاتر
Until the
از این
time that
مرکز
this peak is
باشه
higher than the
تا زمانی بالاتر
center,
از این مرکز باشه من نمیتونم بگم روند کلم عوض شده
I
این
can't
میشه
say
جفت
my whole
یعنی
trend has
میانه روند
changed.
میانه من عوض شده ولی
My
روند
middle
کل
trend
من
has
هنوز
changed, but my
افزایشه
general trend
چرا
is
که
still
من اینجوری
upwards. So we
میگیرم این
consider it like
قله
this.
بالاتر از
This
این
peak is
مرکز
higher than this center,
و این قله هم
and this
بالاتر
peak
از
is
اینه
higher than
و این
this.
قله که نیست هنوز
It's not a
داره
peak
شکل
yet,
میگیره
it's
میاد
forming.
بالا بالاتر از این تمام میشه
It goes
این
up
همون
and
الیوتی
ends
که
higher
شما
than this.
بعدها میفهمی این الیوت میشه
There you will understand that this is
یا
Elliot.
اینجا اصلا
Or
انتهای
here,
مارکتو میگم میشه
the
تایم
end of the
24
market
ساعت
in the 4-hour
این
frame.
قله
This
میگم
peak,
بالاترش
hasn't
تمام
it ended
نشده
higher?
این قله میگم
This
بالاترش
peak
تمام نشده
hasn't higher
روند
than
من
this.
همچنان
My trend
افزایش
is still upwards.
پس چی
So I know that
میدونم
my
خط
trend
ترند
line
من
is this.
پس اگر که من
So if
خط
my
ترند
old trend line was
گذاشتم
this,
این بوده که اینجا یه شکست ایجاد
I
کرده
did a
اومده
break
بالا
here
چرا که شما
and
باید
went
بفهمید
up,
خط
you should
ترند
know
اصلیتون
that your
این
general
بوده
trend line was this. In New Zealand,
الان
the
در
same has
نیوزلند
happened.
همین اتفاق افتاده ببینید
Look
اینجا
here.
خط ترند قدیم من
My old
این
trend
بود و
line was this, and my
روند
trends
من
are in
اینجا
these
هاست.
places.
روند من اصلا اینجا هاست. خط ترند منم این بود، چیز قانونیش قله
And my
بالا
trends
به
were
قله
this,
بعد.
the top peak and its
روند
next
من
peak.
اینجا بوده که
And my
قله
trend
ها
was
اصلا
here
تموم
that
شده، شکل
my
گرفته،
peak
تاییدم
was
شده.
formed and
اینجا
give
یه
me
لحظه اومده
confirmation.
شکسته.
But here it
دقیقاً
breaks
اینجا
again.
اومده یه لحظه
You see that it is
شکسته.
broken,
من هول و هوا
you
برام
get
می‌دارم، میام
tempted,
اینجا چیکار کنم؟ بای
and you
می‌زنم.
open a buying
بایی
order.
که میزنم
And when
میرم
you open it,
یک دفعه دوباره
I
میاد
get
پایین.
profit and then goes down again.
دوباره
You
دیوار
should play
باز
with it
می‌کنم،
on the
بگیر
walls.
بسون،
Get it,
بگیر
take it,
بسون،
get
دوباره
it,
میاد
take
زیر
it.
خط
And it
ترند.
comes under the trend line again.
خب من باید
Here, I should
بفهمم
figure
آیا
out
این قله
that has
اینجا
a
شکل
peak been
گرفته از
formed
قله‌های قبلی من
higher than
بالاتر
my
رفته
last
باشه؟
peaks.
نه.
No.
وقتی می‌بینم که قله‌هایی که اینجا داره شکل میگیره به
So when I
ترتیب پایین‌تر
see
از همدیگه داره
that
تمام
these peaks
میشه،
that are
پس من
forming
می‌دونم خط
are
ترند
lower than
اینجا.
each other, I can know that I have a normal trend
پس
line,
نباید
like
وقتی
this.
که اینجا یه
So when
شکست
here there's a
ایجاد
break,
میشه، من زمانی میتونم بگم
the
خط ترند
time
من
that I
کلاً
can
نابود
say that my
شده،
trend line
فیل
has
شده
completely destroyed
که
and
از این
failed,
قیمت اینجا بیاد از اینجا
that
رد
this
کنه،
price
گردنه رد شه.
pass here.
وقتی رد نکنه خودش
When
ریزش
it
بکنه
doesn't
سمت
pass
پایین،
and
وقتی
it drops
بیاد
down
اینجا،
itself, I should
من
put it
وقتی
here.
اینجا گذاشتم اینجا رو اصلا حق
So I don't
ندارم
have the
بای
right to
بگیرم.
open and buy an order if I put it here.
دوستان نباید واسه که قله پایینی پایین‌تر تمام بشه.
Teacher,
میگم نباید
shouldn't we
منتظر
wait
باشیم
for
تا
the
قله
lower high or
پایینیش پایین‌تر
peak
تمام بشه.
to end in a
همین
lower
اینجا
note,
بهه.
like here?
ببینید اینجا پایین‌تر از اینجا،
This is lower than
اصلا این
here.
به این پایین‌تر. دوستان صدا رو ببندید. اینجا
Please
پایین‌تر از
mute
این، اینم
yourself.
پایین‌تر از این. خب اینم پایین‌تر از این.
And this is
اینجا
lower than
پایین‌تر از
this, and this is lower than this.
آیا این کجا الان تایید داده به؟
It gave me
ببین ما زمانی
confirmation.
میتونیم بگیم تایید نداده، مثلا
We can say it
چجوری
didn't
بگیم؟
give a
اینجا پایین‌تر از این تموم
confirmation
شده،
when
ولی
this
قله اینجاها
ended in a
نداریم که
lower, but
پایین‌تر
we
از
don't
این
have
تموم
a but
بشه.
we don't have a higher high here that would end lower.
در روند ریزش
In the
در
downtrend,
موج رو به پایین تاییدش قله‌های پایینه.
the confirmation is the highs in the bottom.
در روند
The warning
افزایش
are the
قله‌های
highs in the
پایین
on the top.
تایید
In the uptrend,
داره، قله‌های
the
بالا
bottom
تایید
highs
میشه.
are the warning and the top highs are the confirmation. Right now, I will pull up the present of the market.
اینجا من
Look here.
آپدیتش می‌کنم. این به این.
I will update it right now.
من اینجا دقیقاً ببینید، دقیقاً ببینید
Look
چقدر
here.
خوشگل جواب داده. این
How beautiful it
قله
has answered.
اومده پایین بالاتر
This
تموم.
high has
من
ended
اینجا
higher
گفتم
than
باید
this one.
هوشیار بشم. این قله
I should be
بالاتر
aware.
تموم شده.
Oh,
یه
this
هوشیاری باید
high has
داشته
ended
باشم،
higher
کاری
than
داشته
this one.
باشم. این
So I
قله
have
که
a
بالاتر
warning
از این
here.
دیگه
When it
تموم میشه.
passes the
گردنه
neck,
رو رد می‌کنم، ما به این
we
میگیم
call this the
گردنه.
neck.
گردنه رو که رد
When it
می‌کنم،
passes the neck,
روند نزول من
you
کلاً
know that
تحت
it's a
شما رو به داره.
downtrend and it
میاد
became
پایین، یه
uptrend.
قله‌ای هم اینجا تولید می‌کنه که
And
تایید
it
رو
forms
تایید
a
میشه.
high
این قله
here
بالاتر از این، اینم
that
بالاتر از
this
این،
high is
این
higher than
بالاتر از
this
این،
and it's higher than
روند
this
تموم
one and
شده.
this higher and it is uptrend.
خب، حالا
So in my
گردنه از
main
این
neck,
وقتی که روند
when the
عوض
trend has
میشه، میره بالا
changed
میشه،
and it is
مرکز
an
ذهن
uptrend,
کدوم میشه؟
which one is your center? This is here.
قیمت من
My
نباید
price
از
should
اینجا رد
not
کنه.
pass here.
و وقتی که این بالاتر
And
از
when it
این
has
تموم
ended,
شده، این بالاتر از
this
این
one
تموم
higher
شده،
than
این
this
بالاتر از
one
این،
and this one
ولی
higher than
وقتی
this
که
one,
بیاد این قیمت
but
فال
when this
باشه،
price in our
بیاد
present
از این
finishes
پایین
lower
تر
than
تموم
this,
بشه، این قیمت بیاد اینجا صبر کنید.
here, wait,
این دقیقاً
this
اینجوری
is exactly like this.
میاد اینجا
It comes here.
پایین تر از این تموم میشه.
It
و
finishes
ها
lower
ناخا
than
چون
this.
پیوت هم هست،
Because it's a
ها
pivot,
ناخا اینا همه ثابته. هیچ
if you want it or
اتفاقی
not,
جدیدی
this
نیست.
is a fixed
میاد
thing. It doesn't
با
change.
برمیگرده بالا،
It comes back up
دوباره میخوره توی این پیوت،
and hits
دوباره
this
توی
pivot
شروع میکنه ریزش
and again
تا
drops
پیوت بعدی.
until the
این
next
پایین‌تر از
pivot.
این، این
This
پایین‌تر از
lower
این،
than this
اینم
one,
پایین‌تر از این.
this
تهدید
lower than this
روند
one,
من کلاً شد میشه.
confirmation, and my whole trend
تا
completely
کجا؟
is
تا
downtrend
فعلاً اینجا
until
که
here.
گردنه دوم
That
من.
is my second
حالا
neck.
دقیقاً به این شکل مارکت
I will
رو
draw you the shape of the market.
فرض کنید هم یک ذره میاد بالا،
It
میاد
goes higher a bit and gets here.
اینجا. اینجا ما دیگه باید
Here.
حواسم باشه
I should be
که
aware
آیا
now
میخواد دیگه این روند
that
میان مدت من،
it was a medium
آیا
term.
میخواد روند کل منو نزول
And
کنه
if it wants to
یا نه
make my
فقط
whole
یه
trend downtrend,
حالت تایم مدتی.
It was in a time frame.
وقتی که ببینم
When I
این
see
بیاد
that
از اینجا
this
رد بکنه
passes the
من
here,
دیگه میفهمم خط روند من
I would know
کلاً
that my
دیگه
trend is downtrend.
دیگه چی خط یعنی کلی من میشه این
The general trend
هر
is
جای
this.
مارکت رو نگاه کنیم همین
When you see wherever in the market, you see this.
موج این شکلی کنم
Let me
بفهمیم.
make the wave like this, see if you understand.
خب تو لایو چجوری
How do we
کنیم؟
identify it
ببینید
in
این
live?
جایی که اصلی است
It doesn't have the difference. The main ones are obvious.
من می‌خوام
I
اینجا
want to
بیام
remove
بالا،
these
این ترس رو حذف
unuseful
کنم.
highs
بذارید تایم رو ببرم بالا. اینجوری بهتره.
and make my time a little higher.
روند نیوزلند من ببینید دقیقاً پوند رو
New
یک
Zealand's
ماه پیش
trend,
می‌کنم.
I think it was like a month ago.
آره. پوند
Yes.
دقیقاً یک ماه پیش بود.
Like a month ago,
گفتم روند
I said
کلیشون
that
تموم شد.
your
یعنی اینجا
downtrend
بود،
has
مثلا با این
ended,
اتفاقی خیلی خوبی هم
and it
داشته.
gave you a good
از
buying
کجا
order.
متوجه شدم؟
How did I
اومدم
know?
تایم پایین روزانه.
I lowered my
اومدم
time
این
on the
کله رو
daily, and I saw this
این کله
high.
بالاتر از این تموم
This
شد.
high was higher than this
تاییدیه
one.
هم داد.
It gave me
دیدم بالاتر از
confirmation
این. کلا روند
higher
رو
than
به
this
بالا.
one, and it was just an uptrend.
اینجا اگه شما فکر
If you
می‌کنید
think
این
that it
ریزش
dropped
رو
here like
زده
this,
و هوایی نباشین که این
don't
میخواد
be
تا اینجا
like
بیاد پایین.
it would
نه
be
این
dropped
خبرها
down
نیست.
until here.
پیوت 38 داره اونجا. خودش یه پیوت قوی داره. اینجا
That has a
تموم میشه.
powerful pivot
کله
there.
باز بالاتر
This
از
high
اینجا
is gonna
بالاتر اینجا
finish in
تموم
higher
میشه.
than
اینم
this
که
and higher
بالاتر
than
از اینه.
this.
برو موج بعدی.
Go to the next wave.
ولی تا زمانی
But
که
until
پایه‌های من
your
جابجا
bases are not
نشه. این میاد
reversed,
بالا بالاتر اینجا
like
به
it
طور
goes
مثال
higher and
15
higher and finishes
این
here.
قله بالاتر از این تموم میشه.
This high
آیا
finishes
موج
higher than
اینجا
this.
شکل میگیره
Does a
تا از
wave
این پایین
forms
شکل میگیره یا
here
نه؟
or not?
یا میاد اینجا
Or
اینجا
comes here
برمیگرده.
and pulls back?
اصلا طلاتون میارم راحت ترینش ببینید.
The easiest one is gold market. I always told you from here. Let me go in details. So this is your gold market. Your gold market is still bullish until your bases are reversed. And this base is higher than this, and this is a minor high. And when you click it, it opens. It's still bullish until the bases are reversed. If you want to know sooner, make your time frame lower. All your bases have finished higher than each other. The time that I say my gold's trend is like an ending trend in the medium term, when the price goes from here to here. When it passes, it's like this. And it becomes like this. This is a pivot here, here. This is lower than this one, and this is lower than this one. The trend line is completely downtrend. Something like this happened? No. In the time frame of 4 hours, if you see this high here, add this as a 1 with the 4 hours. This higher than this one, and here higher than this one. It's still uptrend. Sometimes there's some highs in the wave, and this is its contour line. Look, it hasn't passed it completely. It didn't give you your confirmation. If it did finish here, like this long, this distance, if it finished here, it would be between the middle and the minor. You can combine them in the 4-hour time period. So what wave that I get, it's a middle. My trend will be downtrend until here. This is my pivot. This is like this. The trend line that you drew, imagine like the gold price was this. I connected this to here. It has broken and came back inside. Why did it happen? Because your trend, your bases are still
چه حسابی
finished
می‌خوای بگی
higher
روند
than each other.
شده؟
You want to say you
فقط
have a
تو شرط
downtrend
بنده.
based on what?
خب بیا اینا که گولت زد.
Just your
اومد
trend
شکست و
line.
برگشت
It
بالا.
fooled you and it came back up again.
استاد یکم از زوم در بیارین ولی
Teacher,
روند یه جور
if
دیگه
you
نشون
zoom
میده.
out,
از چی
the
در
trend would be
بیاری؟
another way.
حالت زوم
From
در
what?
بیارید جدول چهار
If you zoom
بود
out the
جدول یه
chart,
چیز دیگه نشون میده.
خب بیا
it shows
الان من
another
گفتم
thing.
این داری خودتو
I
گول
zoomed
میدی.
out, but you're
الان
fooling
شما تو
yourself
چارت
right
چی
now.
می‌بینی؟
You are seeing what in chart?
الان توی چارت شما چی می‌بینی؟
What are you seeing in the chart?
افزایشی.
خیلی الان
It's
مثلا از زوم در
uptrend.
آورد. الان اون چیزی که
I'm
شما
zooming
توی
out.
ذهنتونه قشنگ به من بگین من بدونم.
What's in your mind? Just tell me and I will correct you. Teacher, make the chart a little smaller.
کوچیک‌تر کنم.
Oh,
این
make it
کوچیک‌تر.
smaller. Okay, this is
خب.
smaller.
باز کوچیک‌تر کنم.
از زوم
Do I
در
make it
بیارین.
smaller?
خب.
Please don't zoom in. I made this.
خب. الان این چیه؟
Yes. What's this?
الان گله‌ای که تشکیل داده کوچیک‌تر
The
از اون
high
یکی
that is
گله‌ای
formed
که
is
سمت چپه.
smaller than the left side high.
اینا که همه بالاتر از هم
They're
دیگه.
all higher
نه
than
اون
each
یکی
other.
روندی که عوض شده.
No,
بزنین
the
دسترسی
reverse
بهتون
trend.
بگم.
نه این پایین
نه من می‌خوام
No, I want to give you
یه
access.
لحظه صبر کن دسترسی
Wait a
بهتون بدم.
minute.
الان شما یک کلیک کنید دسترسی دارید.
Right now, if you
نشونم
click,
بدید
you have
بابا.
access.
خب این گله رو
This high
نه یک
that
کلیک
I
کنید
mean.
یک کلیک کنید دسترسیتون باز شه.
Click and you will be accessed.
من با موبایلم.
I'm with my phone. Oh, you're with your phone. You can do it with your phone as well.
خیلی یه کار کن با مدادتون
که
شکل
سیل
بکشید.
زده.
با مدادتون شکل بکشید. رو موبایل
With your
مداد.
pencil, make a shape.
این گله استاد
This one here.
جایی که
This
سل
pivot.
زده اعداد سل میفته روش.
The cell numbers are there.
سمت راست
I don't
جد
see it.
خب.
On the right. Oh, here. Okay.
استاد فکر می‌کنم اینجاها رو داره میگه.
Teacher, I think they say here.
بله بله.
Yes.
الان من یه نفر دسترسی من بدم یه
I will
نفر
give
کی
someone
می‌دونه؟
an
الان من متوجه
access.
نمی‌شم کجا رو
I don't
بگم.
understand this.
کی می‌دونه
I'll give
دسترسی؟
someone an access and someone tell me.
بذاریم 2958 صبر کنین.
دقیقاً.
Let me see.
من فکر میکنم این محله میگه این قسمت.
I think they mean
آیه
this zone.
2958 دسترسی دارن. نشونم
I
بدید.
gave this person an access.
استاد ببین اینجاها رو داره میگه. منظورش اینجاست.
They mean here, this
این الان
zone.
کجا پایین‌تر شده؟
So what do you
خب نه،
mean
اینو
it has
داره
become
ببین،
lower?
این دوستمون در واقع داره اینجوری میگه.
Our friend is
میگه
saying
این
like
الان
this.
پایین‌تر از این بوده.
This one is
اینم
lower
از
than
این پایین‌تر
this,
بوده.
and this one is lower than this.
درست میگم دوستان عزیز؟
Right?
درسته.
Yes.
خب الان قله‌های بالایی رو میگی یا پایینی
You
رو
mean the
میگی؟
top highs or the bottom highs?
که این گله‌ای که تشکیل شده
No.
پایین‌تر تشکیل شده.
The high that has been
یه
formed.
داده به پایین.
You mean
نه،
this
این
one?
پایین میگه.
No.
قبل اینکه اون تشکیل بشه.
No, before it has formed. It hasn't formed yet. Has it?
آره بزنید زوم کنید.
Let me zoom in.
2958.
Please zoom in. Teacher, in this market live, we can get only warning and confirmation, yes? Couldn't we figure out that when will it want to form lower or higher? It has a factor. They all combine. When you're making a deal, is the time that you all learn these 6 strategies together. Then you can do the deal. So let me tell you this item. This friend meant this here and this here. I don't see it. There is no lower ones. This has finished lower than this, yes, but it didn't give us a confirmation. But did it give us a confirmation that this is lower than this? But this has formed lower than this. This, do you mean this little bit? So I meant if this reached here. You see, its distance from this and this.
سرش میشه
its
اینجا.
head is here.
اگر که اینجا اومده بود یعنی
If it
کندل
would
سر
reach
ساده
here,
کندل من
if
اینجا
my
اومده
candle's
بود،
wick was reach here,
وقتی که
you could
بخوایم
say it's like
بفهمیم
that.
که این آخه یه چیز تجربیه.
It's something by experience.
فاصله
Look,
الان من
the
اینو دارم می‌بینم
distance,
لبه شاده
so the edge of the wick of this and this don't really have any
اگر که
difference.
فاصله یعنی
Its
اندازه
shadow is
اومده بود،
reached
شاده تا
here,
اینجا اومده بود. تا لبه تیوی
and the
این فراکتور
edge of the
اومده بود، شاده
fractal.
کنده. تا لبه
When
تیوی
it
که
reached the
فراکتور
edge of the
اومده بود،
fractals,
میتونست بگی تاییدی
you could
کامل
say
داره.
that we had a full
واسه این
confirmation.
گله که داره تشکیل میشه
Teacher,
اگه پایین‌تر از
this high that is
گله
forming,
قبلی باشه
if it is
میتونیم
lower
بگیم
than
که
the last
احتمال روند
high,
عوض میشه یا نه؟
اخطار
you
داره.
could say that the trend is
اخطار داره.
changing.
نمی‌تونی
It's a warning. You can
زمانی
confirm it.
می‌تونی تاییدش کنی،
The time that you can
زمانی
confirm
شما
it
می‌تونی تاییدش کنی که بیاد
درست.
یه
is
چیز از
that
اینجا رد بشه. حتی اگر
that
این
something
کندل
passes
همین
from
چیز
here,
رد شه.
رد بشه. حتی از این رد بشه.
even from this, even if it passes from
اگه
this.
رد بشه می‌تونی بگی
If it
روند پیشش
passes,
تا اینجا.
you could say that it's a downtrend until
پایین
here,
خود باشه.
آره.
until this
اینجا
pivot.
می‌دونی چیه؟ هیچ
You
کی
know,
می‌دونه اینجا چیه
you
هست؟
know what this
چرا
is?
قیمت اینجا اینجوری شده؟
Anyone know what this is? That the price has become like this?
همون فیبوناچی.
داره 8 تا تکمیل میشه.
فیبوناچی 8 تا.
Yeah, it's the 38 of Fibonacci.
این دقیقا همون فیبوناچی 38 ه.
It's exactly the Fibonacci of 38.
ببخشید پیوت 38 منظور چیه استاد؟
The 38th pivot, what does that mean?
پیوت 38 منظور چیه؟
اینو
گفتید
بهتون میگم. بذار اول
I will tell you this.
زودتر میگم.
Let me teach you this, then I will tell you.
دارم کاری میکنم. بذار بعد اونو بعدم بهتون بگم.
I will tell you that later.
شما زمان خط الان من بحث خط ترنده.
My topic is trend line. So my trend line,
گذشتم این بوده. خب،
my past was
فرض
this.
مثال این به اینجا
This.
بوده. خب
This one.
الان اینجا قیمت
And
من
here,
دقیقاً توجه کنید.
my
قیمت
price,
من از این
look,
خط
my
ترند
price
رد کرد.
that passed
درسته
my this
می‌گی
trend line.
شکسته. درسته که قانونی و حالت عادیش میگه
Normally we
خط
say that the
ترند
trend line has broken
ریزش می‌کنه.
and it's going to drop.
زمانی می‌تونی واقعاً
But
فروش‌های خوب بزنی.
when
زمانی
we
می‌تونی با
can
اطمینان وارد بشی.
surely
وقتی
get
این
good
رد
buys
که وقتی از
is
این
that
رد
this
بشی،
price
این
passed
پایین‌تر
this,
از این، اینم
this.
پایین‌تر از
There's a
این،
high lower
این
than this,
پایین‌تر از
and
این.
there's
کلاً
another high
خط
lower
ترند
than this, and the whole trend is downtrend.
کلاً این. ولی تا زمانی که
But
من همچین چیزی
until a
ندارم،
time that we don't have
من
something
چرا
like
الان دارم
this,
طلا
I don't
اوردر
have the
بازار
right
می‌کنم؟
to do this. Why do I open
تازه من
orders
هیچ
on
چیز
the
جز
gold
همون اینجا
market?
ندارم.
Because I don't have
من
anything in
اگر
here.
باید 2 تا تایم
2 4
4
hours
ساعته
should
بره
pass. And
من
then
کار به تایم
I
4
don't
ساعت
care about the
نداشتم.
4 hours right
کندلستیک
now.
هم اومده
The
اینجا
candlestick
طبق
has reached
همین
here,
چون
and
شاده
the
بلند
candlestick
شده
has a
سیگنال
long
نزول
wick,
داده.
so it
خب
has
من
signal
حتی
a
نیومدم
decrease.
کندلستیک سیگنال نزول
But I don't want to
بگیرم.
get
من 6 تا
signals
استراتژی
by the
دارم.
candlestick because I
اینکه
have 6
اگه من میخوام
strategies.
سیگنال نزول
If I want to
بگیرم
get down
باید
signals
پایین‌تر از این و تاییدیه به من بده. نداد.
lower than this, I have to get a
دو، آیا
confirmation.
خط ترند من درست زمان
Secondly,
شکسته؟ نه.
did my
حالا اگر که
trend line
شکسته
break?
بود، این آیا
No.
می
Even
اومدی
if
از
it
این
was
رد
broken,
بکنی
did
یا
it
نه؟
pass
حتی
here?
اینجا مثلا نزنم.
Maybe if I don't even
اینجا
open
مثلا
orders.
نمیزنم. ارده باز
Like
نمی‌کنم. چرا
like
که
this, I
سعی
don't even
می‌کنم
open
ببینم این
orders.
باز می‌کنه یا
First, you
نه.
have to see if
چرا
it
که شما
opens or
بیای
not.
فروش
Because
بزنی
if you
یه
do a
یه دفعه
buying
برمیگرده
order
همون
here,
بالا.
it may go back
خیلی
up.
اتفاقات رو داشتیم.
We had these kinds of things happen so many
مثل
times.
اینجا
Like
همتون اینجا
this
شاید
here.
مثلا اومدی فکر می‌کنید مثلا خط چیز
Many of you think
قیمت
that
تا
the
اینجا
price would
می‌آمده یا
come here.
اینجا قیمت تا اینجا
Price would
می‌آمده.
reach here.
شما ببینید الان
You
من
see,
دارم پله
right
پله
now,
یادتون میدم
I'm
که چه
teaching
زمانی
you
هم
level by
معامله بگیرم.
level that
هنوز معامله
when
گرفتن
you
یادتون
can
ندادم. فعلا
actually
دارم
open
بهتون
orders
میگم
and make
فاکتوراتون رو
deals.
باید تکمیل بکنید.
You should
فاکتور
just
اولتون خب خط ترنده.
complete your education first.
فاکتور دومتون آیا خط ترندتون
Your
شکسته
second
یا
factor
نه؟
is that your
الان
trend line
اعتبار
has
داره
broken
یا
or
نه؟
not. Is it
چه
valid
زمانی
still
شکسته؟
or
الان
not?
این دوستمون یه
So when
نکته
did
خیلی
it
خوبی
break?
داشتیم.
Your
ببینید
friend
اینجا
has
این
made a
خط
good point
ترند من.
here. Here, this was my trend line.
اینجا الان فرض کنید اینجا
Here,
هم نه.
imagine we don't have this here.
اینجا هم به بعد و نداریم.
We don't have this from
شما
here
باشید.
on on.
از
If
اینجا
you were
به
me,
بعد چه کاری انجام میدی؟
what would you do from this on?
بای میگیریم استاد دیگه.
بشین؟
تاییدیه خط ترند داده
نه
خط
کاری ندارم تایید خط ترند. آیا اینجا
Here,
کندل
my
دوم
second
خارج
candle
تشکیل شد؟ چه
formed on the
کاری
outside.
انجام میدادیم؟ می‌خریدیم
What
یا
do we do
می‌فروختیم؟
now? Do we sell or buy?
خرید داشت دیگه
We
استاد.
do buy. Buying.
خرید داشت.
خرید داشت. خرید
We did
داشت.
buying.
من نگاه میکنم ببینم تو پیوتم یا نه.
We see if you're in the pivot or not. Exactly. We open the buying here. You all have got something wrong. You say, I do buy. But until when? You buy and because of pivot, you exit. But according to your trend line, you see that it's broken. So it's a buying process. So you buy again. Your third candle also formed on the outside. So it has broken. We don't want to fool ourselves. Our trend line has broken, so we should open a buying order. Did it give me a confirmation or not? Its confirmation is just that the candle is forming on the outside or not. It's not that. That's why I am saying that the book has errors. The book, it says that draw your trend line from two highs and there should be a low in the between. And with a candlestick forming on the outside, your trend has reversed. I say that's not true. I say only when my trend reverses is that my highs get replaced with each other in reverse. What does that mean? It means that the trend that starts from here, like this, like this, I can say that my uptrend has failed only when this happens, that my base is reverse. And whatever you want it or not, its pullback is going to be until here. My whole trend will be downtrend. But it passes here? No. Here it has a triangle kind of shape. Right? It's kind of tricky. It didn't even have a high here, so you can't make a triangle. When there's no high here, what do you want to draw? You don't even have this here. No. How do we solve this right now?
جناب استاد
فرض کنین داشتین
کفا داشتین
Mister, I'm answering your question. You say, we imagine that there's a triangle here. It was a wolf analysis. No. My triangle is another thing. I give you access and you click on it. Oh, here. Oh, we have here. We have this kind of thing. I say we have a triangle like here. Right? In the book, we had that whichever side of this triangle breaks, the trend goes to that direction. But it has happened here. So you told us that unless we have a confirmation, we can't open buying orders. So you say this high should give us a confirmation. It should be higher than this one. This is the confirmation. Is it right, teacher? Yeah, you should pass this one. So I have a question here. What you're saying is true. But and the guy gave us a confirmation here. This candle that made it break here, it was a confirmation for us, right? We don't have the right to trade here or not. You can open a buying order there, according to the pivot. Explain this so it would be more clear. Okay. Excuse me. Did you give me access? Yes. No. Wait a minute. Your access now. Click. This high has finished higher than this one. and it's
این
on the
در واقع
level
یک
with the
اخطار
fractals.
داره به ما میده، درسته؟
So it's giving us a warning, right?
بستگی داره تا کجای موج رو داشته باشه.
It depends how long it would be the
مثلا
wave.
الان شما قله رو داری میبینی.
Like you're seeing the high right now. On that time, did you have it or not? And which candle was it?
بازار از اینجا بوده. خب
So the market was from here. So you don't have this red line from then on.
شما این قله بالاتر
This
از این
high
نقطه
has
اخطار
finished
داده.
higher than this one and
درسته؟
gave us a warning.
اومده اینجا این بازار من یه مقدار بعد بیام این برتر.
I should be a little bit here.
اینجا. درسته؟
Here.
و این قله
And
بالاتر
this
از
high
این
has
تمام
finished
شده.
higher than this
آیا
one.
میشه که تغییر روند
Can we say it's a trend reverse? It's out of the line.
این سوالی که من داشتم.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
ببین این الان اختار اول داده، اینم
So
تاییدش
it's
کرده.
the first warning and it has confirmed it. And the trend line has broken and it goes up.
این موج چندم بودی؟
No. Which wave was this?
یعنی از مرکزت کدوم بوده؟
What was your center?
مبنا اینجاست دیگه.
بله. این
So your center was here.
آیا
So
از
this is your
مرکز شما
center.
فاصله زیادی داره؟ موجی
Is it
رفته
far
باشه،
from the center or has passed a high?
اینو منظورتون اینجوری؟
You mean this one?
رد کردی.
Yes, it has passed it.
اما ابتدای دیگه ببین این ابتدای راهی.
This is the beginning of the way.
مرکزیتی داری اینه.
So
درسته؟
the first center that you have
این
is
اومده
this.
بالا. آیا از مرکز شما
This has
رد
gone
کنه؟
up. Was it able to pass your center?
دوم از همه
No.
پیوت داری اینجا. گودی در
Secondly, you have a pivot
اشاره
here,
کردم. خب
high and a low.
آها پس هنوز ما خیلی
So I mentioned it before.
من هر روز بهت نگفتم سیگنال بگی. هر روز دارم
I haven't told you to get a signal yet. I'm teaching you the trends. Here, has it passed here? No.
وقتی که فاصله میگیری
When it gets
وقتی
farther
فاصله میگیری مثل همچین چیزی شکل میگیره
and forms like
این
something like
باید
this,
قطعی رد بکنه که من بگم روند
it
عوض
should
شده.
exactly pass this.
یعنی تو سایت نباشه،
So
درسته؟
it shouldn't be sideways, right?
سایت کار اصلا به سایدش ندارم.
I'm not
خب؟
dealing with
یه
the sideways
فاصله
right now.
زیادی
It
از
should have a
مرکز
long
داری.
distance from the
این
center.
مرکز منه.
This is my
این اومده
center.
که کنار هم
They're
هست.
side by
فاصله
side of each
نداره.
other, right?
راهی نیست.
There's no distance, right?
این اومده پایین ریزش کنه این قله
So
اومده
it has
بالا.
dropped down and the
خب؟
high
من
has gone
زمانی
up. I can
میتونم
say
بگم
this
از
is
این
that
دیگه
this
رد بکنه.
passes
این فاصله
this,
زیاد. یعنی از این
like in a
مرکز
long
دوم
distance
این مرکز
from the
یکه.
center. This is my first center.
این مرکز دو.
This is center
این
2.
شد مرکز سه. اگر تا اینجا
This
آمد.
is the center 3
آیا
if I reach here.
قیمت
Here,
مال
the
از
present's
مرکز دو
price
رد
has
کرده.
passed this center
رد
2.
بکنه دیگه کاری به
If it
مرکز یک
passes,
ندارم.
we don't have anything to do with the
رد بکنه
center
دیگه
1.
کاری به مرکز یک ندارم.
The
اون
center
مرکز
2
برای
is
من
my
مهم.
basis right now.
ببینید الان من
Like
متوجه
here,
شدم. گفتم آقا این قله بالاتر از این قله. این قله هم
this high
بالاتر
is
از
higher
این
than
قله.
this one, and this
درسته؟
high is higher than this
من
one.
به این فاکتور باید برم روی بای.
So, according to this factor, I should open a buying order.
سه. پیوتو که یادتون ندادم.
I haven't
چهار.
teach you the
آیا از
pivot.
قله مرکز رد شده؟
Has it passed your central
قله
high?
مرکزتون
No.
اینه. هر جایی
This is your
باشه می‌خواید
central
دست
high.
کنید. یعنی این گذشته ما.
Touch wherever you want in the market.
استاد ببخشید
بذارید تا یاد بگیرید.
Look
خب؟
wherever
الان
you
من
want in the
نگاه کنید.
market.
نگاه کنید. الان همتون دارین نگاه می‌کنید.
You all are seeing this.
استاد ببخشید میتونم سوال کنم
Teacher, I have a question.
منظورتون همون
You
ماژور و
mean
مینور
that
میشه
major and minor? Exactly that major and minor.
پس بین موج پس
So,
اگر بگیم این سوینگ
if we say
اصلی
this is
یه
the
سوینگ
major
حرکت
swing,
داریم،
there's a
یه
movement
سوینگ
swing,
استراحت.
there's an ease of
بینش
movement
اگر
swing.
اتفاقی
If something
بیفته،
happens between them,
اون تاییدیه کامل واسه ما نیست.
it's not a full confirmation for us. No, it's not. It should pass the central high.
الان اینجا رو شما نگاه کنید.
So if you look at this
اینجا،
here,
خب،
in here,
این مینوره برای من.
this is a
من
minor for
اینو
me.
می‌گیرم اسم اینا رو من گذاشتم گردن.
I call these
خب؟
the neck.
یعنی قیمت من گردن
So,
رد بکنید دیگه
If my
تمومه.
price passes the
قیمت
neck,
من گردن
it's
رد بکنید
finished.
دیگه تمومه. این پایه از این پایه بلندتر.
This
این
base
پایه
is
از
higher
این
than
پایه
this
بلندتر،
base,
روند من
and I have a
کلاً
complete uptrend.
تعریفتون از گردن چیه استاد؟
What's your
گردن
definition of
جاییه که
neck?
اینجا بزنید با شکل بکشم. حالا هر
Let
چیزی
me
می‌خواد
show
بگید.
you by the shapes.
ببینید این
Look here,
اینجا این یه هفت
this V is my V.
بله.
این اینجا معمولا همیشه
This
جاهایی
usually
که
here,
ابتدای پایه ساخت هفت
wherever
هست، پایه
there's
دوم
some
هفت هست،
bases
یا
to
حالا
form the
همچین شکلایی داره.
second V, is something
یه
like this.
قله‌هایی داره.
There's
این ما
some
میگیم
highs like
گردن.
this. We call this the neck.
این ما میگیش گردنه. همون فیبوی 38 یا 20.
That's exactly the 38 and
خیلی ساده تر.
23 of Fibonacci.
یعنی اینجا که من 7 دارم،
The V that I have here,
اینجا
here,
اینجا من یه 7 بزرگ دارم.
I have a large V.
7 ترکیبی بزرگ
I have a combined large V.
کدوم؟
Which one is my number? This.
گردنه اینجا کدوم میشه؟
What's the neck here? This.
گردنه اینجا قیمت هم اینجا. گردنه من کدوم میشه؟
And my
اینجا.
price is this.
گودی‌ها رو
We
ما
call
میگیم
these
گردنه.
depths
یا
the neck.
اینجا. ببینید،
Or here. You'll see
این کندل اگر تموم بشه باید
if
تموم
this
بشه. الان
candle
گردنه
finishes,
شکل نگرفته.
it still hasn't
کندل
finished.
باید تموم بشه.
This candle
من
should
اینجا
end.
میگیرم گردن.
I call this here the neck.
شکل میگیره. خب این میشه گردن من. یا اینجا.
This is my neck. Or this here. My price
این گودی اینجا.
is the depth here. Is my neck.
در اینجا ببینید اینجا.
In here,
قیمت من
my
اینجا
price is
گردنش
here
میشه
and the
در
neck is probably here.
حالت گودیا. اینجوری
And
ببینید.
the steps,
گودیا
the
یا
depths
هشت
that are
تا
like
گردنه.
V and an A are the neck.
میتونی همون بگیم مفصل
همون چی؟
7 و 8 خب استاد
We can call this,
گودی داره. یه گودی داره
there's depth there.
میتونیم بگیم محل زاویه
We can
یا
call them the
محل
angle
مفصل.
zone.
نه توی
No.
گودیا
In these
قله‌های
depths, there are highs.
همیشه توی گودیا
Always in
قله‌های
these depths, there are highs.
قله‌ها رو ما میگیم گردن.
We consider these highs as the neck.
مثلا الان ببینید
Like
اینجا
here,
من توی این گودی هفت بزرگ
in this
گله‌هایی
large
دارم.
V,
گردن
I have
من
some highs.
یک
Which one
گردن
is
اینجا
my
دارم،
neck?
یک
There's a neck
گردن
here,
اینجا دارم.
and there's another one here.
قیمت من از
So
این
if my
رفت به
price
این
passes here, it's all finished.
چرا میشه پایه‌هام بلندتر از هم بود؟
It's because my bases are higher than each other. So it's a confirmation.
چون خانم
Mrs. Abdullahi, what did you want to say? When you say wave, you mean that each one of these lows are a wave, they count as a wave?
من به این میگم موج.
No, I call this a wave. So this large A is considered a wave? No. The base one. Say base one, I don't mean the number one. This is my first base for this V, and it's the second base for this V. We call these waves.
حالا دوباره این.
And again here, this is my first base for this A, and this is my second base. When the bars move up or down in one direction, we call it a wave.
این موج
In this wave,
مهم نیست.
no, it's not important.
این موج این موج
This is a wave, and this is a wave, and this is a wave, this is a wave.
اصلا یه کاری به جزئی توش
I don't mean the
ندارم.
things that are inside it,
جزئی که توش بلند شدن بزرگ یعنی حالت کلی جزئی داره کاری
like the
ندارم.
minor
همه چیز با
highs.
چشم یکی
I
می‌بینم.
look at them the
این
same.
موج، این
This
هم
is a
یک
wave,
موجه.
and this is also a wave,
این هم یک موجه.
and this is also a wave.
پایه‌های یک هفت
The first base of the V is a wave,
هفت هم میشه یک.
and the second base is another one.
یک موج،
The
پایه
A's first
یک هفت هم
base
یک.
is one wave, and the second base is another.
الان ببینید
In
در
Dow Jones,
خب
I
من
told you
گفتم
not to be
نترسید.
afraid.
نبندید.
Don't close it.
چرا؟
Why?
پایه‌های من بالاتر از همه.
Because right now, my bases are higher than each other. Why would you be afraid? Why would you close your sellings?
میگیریم پس میدیم. میگیریم پس میدیم.
Give and take, give and take.
تا زمانی که قله‌های
Until the
من-
time that your
قله‌های
highs,
من از هم
your
دیگه
central
بالا
highs,
تموم
are
شدن،
higher than each
تاییدی
other,
هم دارم.
and we have a
حق
confirmation,
ندارم میگن روند من ریزش شده.
I don't have the right to say that it's a
این
downtrend.
ریزش‌ها ریزش‌های جزء این چیزایی که
These
شماها
fallings
باید
are
از
like
دست
minor things that makes you lose money. I would close these trades for 10 times if I saw it. What
یعنی
trades?
معاملات پایین میبینم استاد درباره بسته بودم من.
نه نباید بترسیم.
No, you shouldn't be scared.
من حتی داشتم ماه حساب
Like in
معامله
one of my
دیدم
trades,
مثلا با 10,000 تا منفی
I
بستم.
offset it with 10,000 negative. Don't even be sad.
اصلا کاری من اصلا به رقم اینجا اصلا نگاه نمی‌کنم.
I don't even look at the number here. I look at this thing here to see if my analysis has failed or not, even if it is 10,000 negative. When it fails, I close it. If it doesn't fail, why would you close it? Aside in the group chat that you were all anxious, that it was negative, oh, let it close. But whoever has closed it actually made a loss. You shouldn't be scared. If you would be scared of the market, you would make so many losses. Teacher, at the end of the last session, you draw a trend line, everything, but I couldn't make a sell or buy with it. The deal was that I teach you that technique when I teach you the candlestick. You would combine them. So, what's the technique that would solve our problem? Let me say it easier. I open a chart. Ask your question again. How should I know that this high, the trend has reversed or not? The half of the high has been formed. We don't know. You should wait. The thing in the market is you should wait. You should wait to see if it opens my neck or not. If you don't wait, it's by luck. Either it gets it or not. But when it opens, it's the full confirmation of yours. When it opens here, it's a relief that your trend is uptrend and your trend line is this. I connect this trend line to here. I don't even care about the future of the market. I connected it to this high. It still continues for me to the point that the trend reverse. This is your trend lines. Look, this one becomes this. And this is parallel. Don't think that this price is hitting this wall, it will fall rapidly. The only time that it will fall is that they replace each other. This high is higher than this one. So whether you want it or not, you should have a high here. And the next candle that is formed, there's a high here. This high goes up and opens the main neck. The central neck or the general neck is this. Can you explain this on the gold chart? Can you explain these on the gold chart? Excuse me. Can you complete explaining this one? Yes. So, we have minor necks and major necks with your eyes. We call this an V. The little waves that are in this, we should remove it. Let me put it higher. Oh no, let me. Yes, here. So here. Get it the same with the eyes. It's forming the V, right? It's exactly like this. Don't make it complicated. I just want to remove these waves. Teacher, can we use the zigzag indicator? Zigzag would be late. You can use zigzag, but it would be late. But when you see this base, and when you see that this high is higher than this, you know that it's the second base of this V.
آقا ببینید
Whenever that you saw that this high gets ended higher than this one, and this high is higher than this one, know that it's the first base of the V, and it wants to create the second base of the V. Where is the second base of the V? It's in the top of the neck. The bottom neck is here. My price gets passed from here. The major neck of my V has been opened, and it would go up. I had a minor neck here. Here, the minor neck, and here, the major neck. So, usually and always, you have a minor and a major in your analysis. So, in your minor and major, the topic has been opened, right? You always have a minor and a major. Like Fibonacci, you have a minor, a major, middle, in the same direction and the opposite of each other. Don't make it complicated. We're in a weekly time frame. My long-term trend is bullish. Like, I'm saying this easily. The price is 0.71, 307. Very easy. In the daily time frame, I wait for my candle to form, and it would give my fractal here. It would be high here, and it's higher than each other and higher than each other. And this is my major neck. The only time that I can to enter my main buys, I put a buy stop here. Just put a buy stop. Easily go and do your buy. This is your Fibonacci, right? What's this? It's the Fibonacci. If it opens, it's gone. I lower the time frame again. Our topic was trend line. It was that when my trend line breaks, should I change it or should I update it? I say you should look at your bases. If they replace each other, if the base is lower than the other one, if your trend line has failed, you have a new trend line. But if it hasn't failed, you should update it in the 4 hours. I come to 1 hour. So in the 4 hours, your highs are higher than each other. So how do I say it's a bearish trend? This to this. So I easily open an buy order here, and I'm not worrying because my trend is bullish. But how do we got here? Is that sometimes the trend line breaks and the price pulls back. How do we know if our trend line has failed? My whole trend is downwards. Is the time that my highs finish lower than each other and give me confirmation. But when from here my trend line breaks and it goes back up, it's not a break, it's a reject that you should update it. Again, is this to this, for an instance. Did you understand? What? Excuse me, can you say how much will it go down? New Zealand to the dollar? New Zealand to dollar is always bullish. Our trend is bullish. Why did you say falling rapidly? I had a sale here. I wanted to see that it's wrong. See, if you open a sale here, your pivot is exactly here. You shouldn't even risk here. No, I had from before. Oh, close it. Because tonight your candle will give you a ascending signal. Do you know why the medium-term tradings are more successful? It's because you don't deal with these small numbers. Like you see here, you open a buy, you put $50 or $100, and it goes back up and gives you about $200 profit. So in the short term, when they see like 30 to 50 negatives, they close it. So you shouldn't do it. So be in your 4-hour time frame and find your signal. I haven't still taught you the sell and buy signals. Now I'm just teaching you the market elasticity and its trends. So right now my trend line is uptrend. My medium term and long term is still ascending and increasing. So the next session we're gonna go to Fibonacci so we can open orders. But offsetting is for other sessions. Because for entering you have a formula, and for offsetting you have another formula. Did you understand all this topic? Yes, teacher. I pull up another teacher for you. I think I should rewatch the clip again. Yes, this is really hard. Because you have to pay attention. Like you shouldn't see these minor things. Teacher, excuse me. If we only get into the trendline topic and just forget about other things, but they're a combination, so it's your third strategy. Our friend mentioned it, so in that time we're gonna teach it. Look, I will make an example of another chart. My dollar to Canada is still downtrend because my highs are still low. And this is lower than this and lower than this. I don't see anything here. I'm telling you the dollar to Canada. In the days that are coming, your dollar to Canada trend is this, because they're lower than each other and didn't have a good confirmation. Yes, it does an uptrend and draws it like this. I don't clear this so you will see it later. Like this exactly. That's the Fibonacci, right? So if I do the Fibonacci right now, the Fibonacci of 50, if it reaches here, it falls rapidly. Why 50? Why not 61? That's for another session. So when we say we should get waves, right now, it's the beginning of my A2 wave. Like for tomorrow, you can have a buy order in dollar to Canada. You should exit this zone and do a lot of buying and exit again. And that's your V's second base. That's your trend line. But sometimes when the trend line breaks, you can say my trend line is completely broken is when you change your bases. There's an example like this here. This was your trend line, right? It hasn't broken yet. Why didn't it go back inside again? It hasn't passed here yet because your trend was uptrend. So today we learned that when our trend line breaks, use which factor to see that my trend line has completely failed or it needs to be updated. So when our bases change, you know that your trend line has failed. But when they're not changed, you know that it's gonna need the update. So when here, it's not like it's the V anymore. Here, you should use candlestick here as well. These candles are decreasing. If you see the candle and then you open and buy, you should be really amateur. I haven't taught you buy and sell these signals yet. I won't teach you how to buy or sell. You should learn the basics. The first is trend line. The second is the base of your highs. How do I know that my trend is difficult? Or sometimes in the group chat, I say my trend is on the floor or on this cap. We figure it out by the basis. Like my trend has become upwards. So this is your second formula. So what's your third formula? It's the Fibonacci. And you have major, minor, reverse, and symmetrical Fibonacci. What is symmetrical and reverse? The symmetrical, it always hits the 61 Fibonacci and breaks it. The reverse one hits the 50 Fibonacci and pulls back. So we have trend lines and then their bases. Yes, you can do the bases and then do the trend line. The time that you use the bases is that the trend line has broken down. So you want to know that your trend is uptrend or downtrend, or it is your ending trend. So you have to see what's your elasticity. If your elasticity is low, so if you want to do heavy deals, you should do selling orders, and it's by other factors. This is wrong. Don't do it by the book. Book says that your trend line has broken and your trend has changed. That's not right. This is the examples. If it didn't break and didn't come back inside, as you say, it's a pullback. If it was a pullback, why didn't it come back inside? And you do it by the book and you lose your money. I want to put all my books on fire right now. Teacher, please. I haven't read the books, but I've seen them. I correct them by seeing them. This is not what the books would tell you. I respect the ones that write the books, but they're the ones like us, and they may make mistakes. And I have mistakes. But we correct the mistakes like this. You see that your trend line is normal. You connect this high to this high and you would open a buying order and it would pull back. Oh, there is a pullback. And you would exit the sell in the wall. Why did it come back to trend line again? What's going on? Is it because the trend changes these exits? Because in the next candle, the trend has changed. Yes, the trend has changed. And for you to figure out sooner the trend line would break or not, Imagine I'm here.
من از کجا
This.
این کندل اصلا این
How
کندل
would I know
اینا
that
رو
this
نداره
candle, I don't
اینا رو
even
نداره.
have
از
this
کجا
here.
می‌دونم آیا این کندل بعدی من میره
How would
یا
I
نمیره
know
کندل
that this
همین که
candle
آخر باز
would go up or down? And this is candlestick.
بر اساس کندلسی اصلا اینجا
According to
تابلوه من
candlestick,
این
it's
کندل رو دیدم من به
obvious
ندرت بای میزدم
that if I
کاری به
saw this
سمت
candle, I
کندل
would
اینا نداره
strongly do
تو تمام
buying
این
orders.
کندلسی رو پیوت داره میسازه
The whole
کندل
market
امشب
is
شما
based on
این تموم
candles.
میشه
If
یک
it
ذره بالاتر
finishes a
تموم
little
میشه
higher than
خطش بره
that,
تا اینجا پایه
it's
دو یا
it's
یک
finished. My V is
تا
second
کجا
base
تا پیوت
until it reaches
خیلی
where
ساده
it's pivot.
کندلستیک میگه
Really
بخر
easy.
پیوت میگه خروج کن
When I see the candlestick, your
میگه
pivot
خب من
says just
نمیگم فقط
exit.
کندلستیک اینو یادت بدم چون از فاکتورهای دیگه باید استفاده بشه
But I don't just teach you pivots and candlestick because you have to use other factors as well.
بگم خب خط ترند و
Your trend line
فیبوناچی
and
ابزار
Fibonacci
این
are the
فقط
tools
پیوتاتو نشون بدن همین پیوتا من که دارم
that
بهتون
only
میگم
shows your pivots.
اصلا من دیدین خیلی وقتا اصلا فیبوناچی نمیدونم چشمی دارم بهتون میگم اینجا مثلا
Sometimes I don't even do Fibonacci. I'm just look at it and see it by eye. Because there is a pivot.
استاد بریم لالا.
کجا بریم
Can we sleep now,
خسته شدی
teacher?
نه این مبحث تموم شده بعد
نه من همین واقعا قبول خب اینو تمرین کنیم ویدیوشو شب براتون میدم جان
I'll send you the video.
نقطه قیمت یک خط دفاعی داره عمل میکنه در مقابل اون افزایش کانسی داره مقاومت میکنه
من کلا مقاومت ها رو پیوت میگیرم خب
I consider resistance as pivots.
من چیزی به نام resistance support ندارم
I don't have anything like resistance and support.
برخورد میکنه به اون جایی
The,
که باعث
the
میشه
thing
برگشت
that
بکنه یا
makes my
بهش
price pull backs or breaks is
من هیچ
my
وقت
pivot.
نبایستم resistance support
I don't call them resistance or support.
توی کتاب گفتن آقا این support
It's in the
این
books
resistance
that this is support and this is
یعنی چیزی که
resistance.
قول اینجا شکل گرفته این
That
هدایت
this high
هدایتش میکنه به سمت بالا
guides you upwards.
من کلا اسم اینا رو گذاشتم پیوت
I only call them pivots.
من جزء ساپورت رزिस्टنس کلا همون پیوته
آره
You mean the
اون
support and
resistance
resistance is only pivot.
مقاومت دیگه
It's a
جایی که
resistant,
وقتی
right?
بسته میشه جایی که قله میشه میشه پیوت
When
اینجا
it becomes a
مقاومت دیگه
high,
مثال
it's a
میگه
pivot.
اینجا قیمت بسته شده فراکتورز چیه فراکتورز فقط بهت
What
میگه
is
که
fractals?
قیمت اینجا بسته شده
Fractals
فعلا از اینجا رد
show
شده
you that the price has
هرگاه هم
been
دیدی در
closed.
تایم پایینی مثلا
Like in
یک
lower
ساعته
time
یک
frames, like 1
ساعته
hour and half an
فقط
hour,
وقت 4 ساعته
and
نزدیک
maybe 4
میشه
hours,
برای
they're
فراکتور
like close.
کندل یک فراکتور
Like
کنیم کندل بعد هست
fractals
تایم یک
gets
ساعته
formed
باشی
1 and a half candle later.
کنیم کندل بعد
So 1 and a half candles later. The fractals suddenly get removed, powerfully go and do the buying. Because your price means it has opened. We don't have anything to do with resistance and support. Your next session will be pivot and then Fibonacci. That I will teach you how to identify pivots by eyes and then we do Fibonacci. One question. You say that we do pivots by eyes. It will definitely have a pullback or it's not definite. Pivot has like 4 to 5 types. You have shadow candle pivot, entrance of trough pivot, candle closing pivot, candle base pivot. Like there's 4 types. It depends that price that gets to the pivot, you should identify what pivot is it. That this pivot would break or not. In the last sessions, you will be really professional. They're in the 4th stage of candlestick topic. It should be selling or buying. You will learn it all. it will be a little confusing until the fourth session. But when it gets a little less confusing, we will pave the way faster. The people that had classes with me until the fourth session, they were really confused, and it was complicated for them. So if you wanted to do a summary of this session, that there are levels to doing deals. The first is trend line, and then basis. Until now, it's like the elasticity. Not exit, not offsetting, not entering. That is candlesticks and pivot. Pivots are a little harder, so the next session that we teach you pivots, it will be, you can do a little deals, like open orders. The next session will be on Thursday. But practice these topics. I will teach you 6 strategies that you should be using in all your deals and your trades. So when you learned your candlesticks really well, don't forget your pivots and trend lines. People have made these mistakes. They have forgotten like trend line or Fibonacci, and they just got signals by candlestick, and then they got into mistakes. You should use all of them. Whole learning that you will do is trend line, the base of the highs, pivot, Fibonacci. Pivot is 4 types. Fibonacci has 5 types. They're all one strategy, but they have 5 factors. Pivot is one thing and has 4 factors. So when you know all this, you will easily open an order. So let me give you tonight's signal. Should we enter for a buying order? Tomorrow we have a good market. Dow Jones has buy here. Do it in small sizes. But it's not less than 0.10, right? We have no choice. It depends on your balance. Exactly here, where is the high is formed. Where should we put our TP? Here. I'm buying from here right now. Can you give us a number? I should put it a little lower so it wouldn't be a loss. 25,335.40. I'm sorry, teacher. These guys that have the Dow Jones one, there's nothing under 10%. They mean the ECN account? They mean the trade that you're opening should be 10% of your investment. Like if you have $500, it should be 0.05. But in Dow Jones, the least you can open is 0.1. It doesn't have less than that. It doesn't have STP, right? Yeah, neither of them have it. But teacher, I've got its demo and it has it. In the real account, it doesn't have it. I have an STP and it doesn't have it. What was TP? 25,339.
نه 25539
Repeating itself. And it's a buy. So whoever wants to get it, it has a buying order. Can you give us number? It's exactly under the high. 25,000. Let me tell you. It would be 25,411. 25,280. It would be 280. Oh, I was reading it here. Yeah, it's 280.15. It would give you a good profit. 25,280.40. Thank you. You're welcome. And our oil is long term. So we put our TP on daily. What's the time? It's 10 p.m. The medium term high is descending. Because this has ended in a pivot, it would be overlapping. So it would reach here, and your stop loss should be a little higher. Put your stop loss at 142.892. A TP, the place that I told you before, 141.830. It should be open, right? Yeah. So if you do 0.1 each one of your view, it will give you 100 or something. But we have 2 or 3 oils. They're in the same direction. So there's a S oil and a UK one. Both of the trends are the same. Don't be scared of the speech. No, look. 80% of your trends are technical, and 20% is news. When your prices hits your pivots is it gives you news. They announce the news that your pivot should be broken or it pulled back. You'll exit your trades in high pivots. But sometimes this news would give you oscillation. When will your news be announced? When your price gets to the pivot. Go test it. When your price is not in the pivot, we don't have any news. When the news is announced is that your price hits your pivot, and that news gets announced that this pivot should be broken or not. Like to 5 a.m. that you say there's news is because of this. Pivot is the center and the next is the trough. Teacher, I didn't get my answer. I mean that in that time we should leave our accounts open or not. It will be closed automatically. So didn't hit your TP, just close it, offset it. In technical kind of way, it should get here. But if it announces here, it would reshape the market, but we don't have anything like this. The whole market is repeating. So when the price gets to the pivot, it announces the news.
دو جونز میزنیم احتمال کار شدن خیلی زیاده درسته؟
آره دیگه من با خاطر میگم حد نظرتون اینجاییه.
Your stop loss is here. And that's why I say you should do it in a way that it wouldn't destroy you. Like it would give you negatives if you reach here. This is what's wrong with Dow Jones, because it didn't give us any oscillation in the 4 hours. There's no oscillation. So the number of pips would a little complicate you. Why Dow Jones doesn't have it under 0.1? I don't know. I haven't asked. We can get it from it really good, and it has good gain. Yeah, the profit is good. When I was teaching you, I would make examples of this Dow Jones. It would be 10,000. Most of my trades are in Dow Jones because it gives you Dow profit. But don't be afraid in it, because they would close it and they would make a loss. It's an easily buy. I'm telling you to open a buy in order. We don't have good signals tonight. Tomorrow we have good ones.
بایتون روی داو جونز شد حدود 25 335. ممنون.
Thank you. And then it doesn't have any good signals tonight. And the daily market, if it gets ended, it wouldn't be good. The target signal that you gave us in Dow Jones, I saw it, and in the weekly time frame, it's exactly like the closing and the opening of the candle. Oh, the closing and opening pivot? Yes. It's because the center pivot. It's the third pivot in the center. Your voice is weak. It's good now? Yes. Let me... The pivot 3. I will look in details to find out my pivots. It'll be put exactly on the opening and closing. You mean here? In the weekly time frame. This is here, 100%. Yeah, exactly. That's right. You don't have any questions? Thank you, thank you. I have a question. Can you give me access? On pound to yen, I want to draw a trend line. Do we have voice chat tomorrow? Yes. Will you announce it beforehand? What's the time of workshops? I couldn't get benefits from it, really. What's the time of the workshop? Yes. When is it? It got announced late. It's usually on the 5 p.m. Thank you. So please announce it sooner. Yeah, I was a little busy today, so it got announced a little late. Teacher, we imagine that we have drew this trend line, but when the second candle got formed, the third candle that opened, it would open the last candle, right? And we have, this is overlapping candle. Because it ended in pivot. It would be like this. It got finished in pivot. So it doesn't mean that it has anything to do with that technique. So overlapping is either one candle or 3 candles. I sent you the explanation of this candle last night.
چیه این 50
What's
50
this? I have called it 50-50 candle.
دیشب ویدیویی توی گروه گذاشتم دیدین؟
Yeah, have you seen the last video in the group chat?
دیشب بود دیگه، یه ویدیو گذاشتم.
آره دوستا دیشب.
آره اون ویدیو رو حالا اگر ندیدین گروه رو چک کنی، یه ویدیو هست.
Watch that video. It's a candle 50-50. And I had explained this candle. Can you access me to the mass? Don't you have any questions?
نه ممنونم.
No, thank you. You're Mr. Well. Click, please. Teacher, this candle, should the shadow hit the pivot or the body, or the main body? I have a lot of questions in this topic. The shadow of that candle that gone up should hit the pivot. Shadow is part of the candle, so you shouldn't think it's apart from it. Though the shadow or the body would touch the pivot. Sometimes it would touch the body, sometimes it would touch the shadow. That's our opening and closing pivot. Our third type of pivot. We have 3 types of pivot, or 4. If you see this price is past this shadow, if it has passed this shadow, here, in this price, you have an opening and closing candle. It would be this, here. Opening and closing, and for a candle, is side by side each other. I will teach you these. If I tell you right now, the other students will be confused. We would continue as we are. Yes, we have workshops. Only the ones who have real accounts, trading accounts, come to the workshops. Is it Wednesday tomorrow? I'm free tomorrow in the evening. If the market is good, I would announce it. And in the evening, we probably have a good market. Until evening is sideways. If I was there, I would get online. We'll definitely have a scalping kind of trading. You have 10 to 15 hours of scalping. When you have mastered candlestick and pivots, you should learn scalping. Exactly. Like this. I say in the 5 minutes time frame or 15 minutes, I would check after another. It's sideways market. It's not a scalping. I would know that my pivot has broken and it's a buy order, but you should be really sharp at it. You shouldn't doubt it and think about it. You should really be fast. You see that your candle is 50-50 and you will go on a buying order. We will teach you that. Like 15 hours, we have scalping candles. We teach you scalping candles. You are trading, so you would learn. I know that it's falling down a little, but it's sideways and it's in a pivot, so you shouldn't. I try to put your classes in the 5 p.m. to teach you scalping. I will adjust the time.
خرید نکنیم مجددا.
We shouldn't buy anymore.
میتونیم
You can.
نکنین لاتتون رو. ببینید این محدود پیوتیه. خب
This zone is pivot zone,
یه کوچولویی هم رد کرد ازش. ردم
and it has passed it a little.
سنگین نکنین. داو جونز فشرده.
Dow Jones is really pressed. So if you put your 0.1 to 0.2, it would give you trouble. I have put 4 lots here. It's around the center pivot. If it is really powerful, it would give it a shock. Because if it hasn't reached it yet, it would give it a shock. So the Trump's speech would affect Dow Jones, right? I'm scared of the stop loss.
50,000 تا برگشت ریزش گرفتم، 70,000 تا برگشت گرفتم. دقیقا توی فکر کنم به 1 ساعت و نیم 2 ساعت بیشتر نکشید.
Trump really affects the market, especially Dow Jones. I'm scared of the stop loss. I'm awake until 4 a.m., so I will announce it beforehand. Let me see it again. Yeah, the workshop is open. No, the trend is uptrend. But because it's pressed and condensed, maybe it gives you trouble. No, don't put it heavy. It's in a bad zone. You have so many different pivots. Like you have a pivot here and here. It's in a really bad zone. Yeah, we're really stressing the ones that we're opening. But the trend is uptrend. I know that it will go back up. Try to be observing. If we wouldn't open in Dow Jones right now, it would be better. Put a buy stop here. If you put it higher, it's better. Yeah, it's better. I would say it would give you 4,000 loss. It's right. It has buying here. It has space for it.
از تلگراممون رو میذاریم روی alert که اگه یه موقع چیز شد آلارم بده.
So we would put our Telegram in alert mode. I'm awake until 4 to 5 a.m.
استاد اگه بحثی نیست دیگه مزاحمتون نشیم، خسته‌ام شدیم. پس شبتون بخیر، خسته نباشید.
So, bye teacher. This is the end of the session. Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.